So this is the Confederation of the United Tribes of New Zealand flag jurisdiction, part 6 of this King's Bench Court hearing. And the time now is 9:16 in Greece, so it'll be 7:16 a.m. in UK, and it will be 6:16 p.m. in New Zealand. So we've a few on here now. We are streaming this one live at the same time as I'm recording it. So John's got his laptop this time. He's still having major issues, but we're streaming. His light is zooming off the phone, but he has a laptop at least that he can read off this time, rather than a phone as before. So over to you then, John.
Okay. Hello, everybody. It's John Wanoa here in the Hamilton with Alfred Mitchell here beside me. And we are here to represent the Confederation of Chiefs in what we want to do in this court hearing. And every court hearing we have on these videos are affidavits, each one. And the sum of all the affidavits of videos and documents equals 1 in law, so that we can put it all in one final affidavit video in a hearing to because I'm naming a lot of names here of people in high places that are fraudulent. We're alleging that they're fraud people in the corporate world, and we're going corporate in this sense in the 2 companies. We have one here in New Zealand and one in Britain. The British one is My Powerhouse Group Limited company, and it's got shareholding as well. And New Zealand company Ngā Atua Ewa Aotea Limited. Those 2 companies are judgment creditors in a sense of court hearings that we have online, and the people we name are judgment debtors. So we use the pound note as a debtor instrument against those people in what we charge them with in this open world court hearing for all natives in the world. All people are the same as us. So what I say will go out to all those indigenous countries who are native. They are having the same problems as we're having with the Crown corporations and the Queen's side of the Queen's Bench Court. And we are acting in the King's Bench Court magistrate in this situation. So it's quite long, this hearing, this statement I'm making, and we're going to break it in half and have a question time from people just for a little short time before I carry on. The first part is the people we accuse, the acts that we use in King William III and King William IV, and motu proprio from the Vatican Pope. So we're using two sets of laws in what we accuse them of, and put up the charges against them in those acts. And I didn't want to put all the acts all over the place because there's a lot of them, and not just one act. But we're using the UCC law, America, and their Congress, how they put a declaration of war over the country to seize everything and take control of government. The federal government does that over the state governments, and they come under that martial law or state of emergency law. So we're using the same state of emergency law with this flag above Andy's head, the Confederation of Chiefs. We go back to the beginning of the 13 chiefs who signed the letter. That became the official instrument to the king when he said, "You're sovereign," when he got the letter and notified the chiefs that they've got sovereign of their country before the declaration came out in 1835, 28th of October, 1835. So we have the definition of the first chiefs and then the second lot of chiefs. The first 13 is the 20th of March, 1834. So that becomes the legal instrument we're using here in a declaration of war on finance. That's the people in the banks, a declaration of war on the banks, the corporations, businesses, all those people who are impersonating them using companies as things or names of persons and not real persons. So we're putting a declaration of war on them in these documents that I'm going to read out. So they are accusing them. They have to respond within 21 days in here of me making a statement and accusing them of all the things that we have another Maori government. When I was in the Maori government in 2016, we had the flag with all these acts on it of terrorism, genocide, all those things listed on the flag on a document. You'll see it when Andy scrolls through. I didn't have time to set up the new laptop that I got from Kate Baker, thanks to her, but it played up, the keys didn't work, so I wasn't able to format the Word documents into PDF so that Andy could scroll the pictures and push the URL thread and open the picture up of the people we accuse. I don't know if it'll work, Andy. It might be a bit slow. As I'm reading, you can push open those documents and you can see the document there, or blow it up, and that's an affidavit. That's one affidavit of whoever's on that document with faces. When you see a face appear on it, or the yellow vest, or anything that's got a face on it, it's that face and the name there that is the offender of our Moai Crown King William IV Magistrate Court, King's Court bench. And so we have Admiral. The governments in the world and the United States have Vice Admiral, that's below an Admiral. And we use Michael Boyce, Admiral of the Fleet, as our partner, and whatever we recover in money or gold or anything like Swiss Indo or anything like that I've listed, I'll rattle through them afterwards and read off everything, and you'll see who we are accusing and how much you're going into the trillions with quadrillions with the Swiss Indo. That's our trust. That's the Queen Victoria Trust. I'm saying belongs to us as beneficiaries. We are still beneficiaries in that trust in New Zealand, and our partners in Britain like Andy and all the rest of them, Matt Taylor and what's his name, Frank McElharren, and a few others that you'll know who they are on my page. When you see my pages with their names on the document that I send out, only the ones I send out the documents to that I draw up and pull out, then those are the people who are in the group, the first lot of people from Britain with the first lot of people in New Zealand. You'll see a few names from both New Zealand and Britain there on my documents, on the ones I send out with their names on it. I send out to the people who are here online by invitation with when I send the codes out to them. So that's just a bit of introduction of things. And I'm going as a Admiral as well, Lord Admiral, have to go, and the President of the Confederation of Chiefs, not the Confederation of the United Tribes that came in 1835. So we're specifically going back to make the document stick to the King in 1834, the 20th of March, 1834. So those are legal instruments that does matter in chronological order or timeline of events when things happen. After the 1835 or 1835, the document starts changing and they start adding names to the Declaration of Independence. Before long, you'll see everybody bounce into it before 1840 Treaty of Waitangi. And that's what's separating all those people from the initial letter to the King William IV at that particular time, to make this flag legal and make it authorized right over the top of Britain. They haven't got this flag. We have this flag of Admiral, straight Admiral, not Vice Admiral or Commander-in-Chief or Lord of the Sea or anything like that. The only one that equals to us as a federal state flag is Michael Boyce, Admiral of the Fleet. He's the only one equal to us and is our partner. I've put him in the document as our legal partner, and we can go ahead without even writing to him to claim that he is part of what we are making a statement. They are waiting. The Navy is waiting for us to own up who we are in New Zealand. So that's what we're saying. We are the rightful people, me and Alfred. There are other people in the Confederation here in New Zealand who have gone their own way, but they'll eventually come this way, and they're using the flag with no legal effect. The flag has no legal effect until we assert this now. This orders that we have to send the orders to the Navy in Britain to say we have the right, we have the authority, we have the jurisdiction, we have the Confederation of Chiefs, the right ones, not the wrong ones, the right ones, that we know understands all of this commercial contract business. The flag is a contract business, a commercial contract between us and Michael Boyce. We're in a contract together, a continuity of sovereignty. Sovereignty is not broken off like the Queen. The Queen cut her sovereignty off from the people, and that stopped right there. I can't quote off the right date when she severed her sovereignty from the people. So our sovereignty is still in the flag, is still with the succession of Admiral of the Fleets right through the years, right from King William the Fourth, King William the Third, the sovereignty to the next king, right up until now is still unbroken contract. So there, I'm just saying that. I'm going to leap into it in a minute, and you'll bear with me as I go through it, because there might be a repeat of the words Maui Crown, and we're using Maui Crown specifically because it's a memorial that Queen Victoria put in London for her documents. That's all it is. The Maui statue or any other statue on anybody's documents, like the Freemasons, they have their own documents with their own symbols on it and their own statues, obelisks for the legal part of contracts, and contracts come from Admiralty and into land titles and certificates of transfer with those from the sea to the land to the native of the land and into the court and then into Parliament, and then they make rulings on what they can take off the land, and if need be. We have a state of emergency now, or a declaration of war. They don't call it a declaration of war as such in America, but America is leading the state of emergency of our country. And so we're using the same thing. We're doing the same thing with authority. We're not making this up. We're serious. We have to treat this very seriously because we're playing their game, and they are watching us. But we want them to respond to us in this affidavit video and come on Zoom at any time within 21 days. I've got it written. I'll say it out afterwards what day it is. When it expires after that time, they've got a mobile phone. There's no excuse for not getting on phone. I'll send emails out to them with the video so that they can listen to the video if they don't see it here. But we'll send it out to them, Andy, on the record. Everything that's on this video is going to be transcribed on AIP, voice to text software, so that it'll come. I'll have to pay for it with the software company to write out the whole of everything. Everybody says it can define one speaker to the other, and then put it in text writing form, in proper text writing, so we don't have to have a secretary. We can do all these meetings. Must have minutes. So our minutes will be recorded. I still have to do the program myself and before we get too many videos, and I've got a lot of work to do to transcribe, or not so much transcribe them, but to put them with, every time I put these documents on Facebook, it's public and you can read them, and it'll have the minutes of the thread to read the minutes. So you're reading everything I'm saying. There's no excuse for anybody who's watching to read off on their mobile phones from my Facebook site. You can read the documents, although it's so long that it snipped the end off. So I put the whole thing in the comments section, and it does fit the whole lot, the whole document, 32 pages, I think it is, 32 pages of complete court hearing, full on native, that's admissible in any court throughout the world, because they use video link into prisons to save the prisoner going into court and the expense of him getting there and protests of everything, all that outside the court. So we're doing exactly the same thing. And the documents in pictures, we're testing it out with the pictures to give the right story and the right picture of the person that we're accusing, and or a video, any videos that we put on this thread. You can push the threads on that document that I put on my Facebook, or I'll send it out to you. I'll usually send it as an agenda, and every time on my Facebook I update it. You'll see the same agenda come up, and all the time they're modified to the next one, and the next one can go right back. But it's a long way to go back through my Facebook page, one of 83 Facebook pages, to get all the information out. All those pictures have a lot of information jammed in one picture. That's what I did it for, to lock everybody in on it. And you'll notice that I've got a picture there of the New Zealand government, the whole parliament that I put on notice. I sent them notices of everything. They just ignored it. Not now, because they haven't told me to remove it, or tell me to stop saying Crown or bank, or calling myself a bank, or the organization I've got, because there's someone saying don't touch. So we're all right so far. We're doing pretty well without any interruptions or any stone throwing at what I do. So it's just telling me that it must be right. Even the chiefs of Ngāpuhi, chiefs where this flag is, they have the right over me in what I say. They have not said anything while I've been on these videos, making all these videos about it, because I've been through the court hearings with them up there and around the country, doing the same court hearing I'm doing here without any problems. And they have signed the documents. I've got them in my bag over here. I've got my magistrate court that I carry around with me, that I took to England or Westminster, that I drag around with me, full of books. That's my magistrate with all those signed documents in it, and all the people I accuse in it. That's the one that the police at Heathrow Airport filmed the whole lot, photocopied the whole lot. Within 14 hours I was held there, and they went right over my hard disk and laptop and took all the information. So they've been served. I wrote to them and I said, you've been served, and all in one shot. The notices from what they took photos of. I'll give them notice in this video here that they've received all the information by taking it themselves and helping themselves to my bag of legal documents that we put in the Supreme Court in opposite Westminster Parliament. We held a native court. We can hold it anywhere. We held it in there because it was cold and wet outside, and we went in there out of the weather to do it in comfort. So there, we've got that on video. We also got the video of Frank McElherron and a group in Ireland, Northern Ireland, at St. Patrick's gravesite, with the flag over the gravesite, grave memorial stone, to claim that 8-point star that the Queen wears, and everybody wears it in the monarchs, and even Ernest Augustus V, the king that we want to order to put him on the throne, because he's entitled to be following in his ancestors' footsteps, King Ernest Augustus I, the brother of King William IV and King George IV. So there, those go together. The king to king to king in Salic law forbids a woman to the throne. So that stands in our court here as being keeping the line of the common law people of the king. We're here for the common law people of the world, but their common law has no jurisdiction over the Admiralty law. So the Admiralty law is the highest of all laws when it comes to money, gold, and land alienation to the crown, the big crown on the throne. And so there, that's just an introduction to where we're going with this. So I'll just start off here at 6 o'clock, that we 6 o'clock New Zealand time. And I've got a clock there on you can press the clock to wherever country. I noticed that some people in other countries like Africa want to come on. And so I just told them to push the clock thread there where we start off first, and then they can come on at whatever time that is. The Confederation flag of New Zealand, British Royal Navy, Admiral of the Fleet, jurisdiction, Michael Boyce. He's our main man that we take claim to him being our partner, our legal, legitimate partner in all of what I'm saying here on this video tonight. So there, he will get a letter from me asserting this authority with him on the documents from the sea to the land. And now he's a Lord Baron in Parliament, in the House of Lords. And so we don't use that title in our documents because that's under the jurisdiction of the Queen Bench Court. So we stay outside of that and just use the Navy, the British Royal Navy on our side, and the military. We expect the military and the Navy to assist us with the pound note data instrument to recover all the gold missing and all the land taken illegally. And I say the Queen's crown has been illegal all the way through from Queen Victoria, right back 1837 when King William IV died. So from that time on, the Rothschilds have corrupted the whole corporate system that the King set up for us and taken the money and the gold and everything, the land and everything for themselves. So we're here to reverse that and put it back into the control of the King's Bench Court, and us claiming the trust that's all the wealth is gone into, and back to the people. Right, I'll carry on, folks. Okay, right, so camera's back. Now again. Confederation of Chiefs, specifically, President of Commercial Business Corporations, John Hoani-Kahaki Wanoa, that's me. I'm just making this claim. King William IV jurisdiction of this Federal Court of Admiralty flag of war on the corporate government's political fraud, crimes, courts, and trading banks. So there, I'm just making that statement quite clear. Paramount Chief Wuhi Manukau, the fourth signature. There's a document there of who we got our authority from him as the president of the Confederation of Chiefs at the time. There's a picture of him with the group. It should be there. Might be the next one to that one. That's just a signed document of Edu Manukau, his son, signing while he was in the Malta with Prince Peter of Malta. We sent, Mohi and I sent 20 flags there. And so I'm curious to see what they're going to do with all those flags. And at the time, I wasn't too sure. But the Vatican has got those now because the Vatican took over the Malta And so I've done a lot of history on that with Mohi Manukau. They taught me all these things, and the Freemasons. So I'm answerable to the Freemasons. That's his 50 years in Freemasons, Mohi Manukau, where I got all my knowledge from. He passed his title over to me and succeed to his documents and his legacy with the Moriori and Moriori Manukau tribesmen who the British recognized at the time of the putting the land titles together in Helensville. That's where he got this, the Freemasons in Helensville, or Araroa is its real name, where they set up the Araroa Bank in the courthouse. It's still there, the ground where the courthouse was, and the flag where the flag was flying all the time as the flag of New Zealand. So there, that's him. That's the man with the Freemasons that do all the land titles and put all the certificates together to transfer the lands in that court, the first court in New Zealand that did land transfers from the Admiralty of the Sea into the court and into the Parliament and into the banks. So they're in that order. So I'll just move on. Therefore, I have legal Admiralty law of the sea, law, Admiral of the fleet, and maritime law of the land, birth, your birth certificate, and berthing the ship in the harbour, and manifest everything that drops off the ship onto the land. Spiritual Maui Earth God jurisdiction of the Marae, established native magistrate, King's Bench Court, ruler over New Zealand, Britain, UK, and the world as President of the Confederation of Chiefs of Aotea, New Zealand, Pacific Islands, Ring of Fire area, and Island of Mu, video affidavit minutes recorded claims. So there, the island that's under the sea will come out of the sea in the Pacific as Mu. So the Americans are claiming the Americans are claiming that as a part of America, and I'm saying no, it's a part of New Zealand and the Pacific Islands. So I'm making claims to that here from any pirates on the high sea who get in our road between me and our people here in New Zealand and our chiefs at Ngāpuhi and northern regions and Haraki that made this deal with King William IV. So there, from here, so I make claims here of the Admiralty law of the sea use for us and our people watching online and on Facebook and the people in Britain and the people involved with us there and the people here in New Zealand. All make claim, this belongs to you. This, what I'm saying, belongs to you. It doesn't belong to me. I'm saying these things with my name on it because I'm taking responsibility to own everything that Mohi Manukau gave me to do as a big, heavy load on my shoulders left to me to solve for our people in New Zealand. So this King's Bench Magistrate Court is now open for commercial contract business for the world, for King's common law people. So there we are. We're opening this up tonight. We should be doing this all the time, opening the court, then closing it, as usual on the marae. So we're treating this as if we're on the marae, virtually, doing the same thing as I would on any other marae here. In this case, we've got a world audience and not just on the land of New Zealand. So it does affect everybody in the world that's caught up in the corporate fraud business. This is a live witness exclusive judgment debtors King's Bench Magistrate Court. All the witnesses watching. So we've got another couple of shots there, that there. So you can see in the pictures things that I'm talking about should be. That's our native magistrate court in Auckland with Bundy Waitai there and myself. There would have been another photo there of us conducting one of many court hearings. That there is Mohi Manukau's whakapapa, or his genealogy to the 4 main tribes. There we go. In Ngāpuhi, Northland, and I have to tell them how to put the 4 tribes together on the commercial side, the corporate side, so that they can reap the benefits of what's been taken out of the land and all the resources that goes to the crown in England and the rich people, and they get nothing from it. So there's our native court hearing. You've got who's that on the right? That's Selwyn Clark, and you've got the next to that Manahi Mohini. He says the Krakia prayers. He's a justice of the peace. You need that in an Admiralty court. You need a justice of the peace and to certify and stamp the documents. And then you've got Bundy Waitai, the other chief there. So I've got the main 4 chiefs. Well, 3 chiefs with me, and the other people in the Maori government was there as well. So I can acknowledge them as being when I was in the Maori government. I had to turn back into the Confederation of Chiefs. So I'll move on. Please take notice that the style of writing in the Maori Crown law permits the court legal documents to use the upper and lower case writings in our legal law language still means the same interpretation of the English language and does not mean anything else other than the facts you must refute with your proof of claims against these graphic truth statements. So I can write in, sometimes I like writing in big letters when I'm not feeling too well and I want to put a big message out, or just normal lowercase. So it doesn't have any relevance of any meaning other than just voicing out aloud sometimes. This Zoom recorded Hui meeting of video affidavit and API Google computer generated minutes is for the world's 250 countries, native sovereign people witnessing the recovery of their native countries and stolen land and wealth returned to them, all with the court justice served in this online Native Magistrate King's Bench Court hearings today, Thursday, the 26th of May, 2022, at 6 p.m. New Zealand time, 7 a.m. UK time, and 9 a.m. EU time, Greece Court Admiralty Maritime Law proceedings. Then you got another picture that Andy rolled out. I think that's a world clock one. With they can compute. Oh no, that's the Admiralty law. We'll go into that now. So I'm taking some of the extracts of UCC law from there, and I don't have to put any X down. We just go and refer to that page where it's the latest that the US government is using. And so we use the same laws of Admiralty and the interpretation of it there to make the meaning of. All right, we've got title positions: King William IV Admiral of the Fleet, Supreme Authority First Party in a commercial contract with 13 second party and 35 third party Confederation of Chiefs, and President Paramount Chief Mohi Tamati Manukau IV transferred authority to the incumbent president. That's myself, John Hoani-Kahaki Wanoa, Lord High Admiral. I take that title because that's what President Biden is doing, the same thing as Lord High Admiral. So I do Lord High Admiral because I'm no different to him. He hasn't been in the Navy or anything, but he's taking that position of his declaration of war or state of emergency over America, then swiping the whole American people. So that's how he did that by this law. Surrogate King William III, who I am representing, and King William IV private contract partners. So there, I'm just wrapping all of that lot up here in that Admiralty of what the United States does, the Congress does, and what we do. We do as Admiral higher than their Vice Admiral or Commander-in-Chief or Lord High Admiral is still coming under an Admiral when it comes to documents and money generating instruments. There's King William's coins. We have the right to make coins, gold coins from what we recover in debt. It's there. All King William's pound notes and coins are there on my pages, but we can go through that another time. I'm just saying we have the legal right, lawful right to use King William's coins and bring them back and start using them and mint them from the gold we recover if we want to. But we're using digital systems instead of pound notes. We've got pound notes as a certain amount of holding, and the rest is digital. So we've got Scully that will do the digital banking. I haven't got it here, but it's on my site. So it went from TagPay to that. I've set it up already where we use the recovery pound note debtor instrument on shopping platforms, gateway platforms, PrestaShop and Blue Snap gateways. They've got 300 million people each of those, that we have a lot of customer base once we get this recovery debt note going that belongs to all the people and the people watching here. So we go on from that, from the use of the coins and the pound notes. My federal state joint UK, New Zealand government. We're saying the UK government, the British UK government is in co-governance with us as the New Zealand government co-Britain. Here in this statement of King William IV, Native Magistrate, King's Bench Court, 1834-1835 Confederation flag, jurisdiction and flag nation constitution over New Zealand, and the will common commercial contract extent forevermore unaltered. So I'm saying we have a legal connection contract here under this flag with Britain to make them the same as us, and the pound note is on an equal par. The value of the pound note in Britain is the same value as the Moai pound note until we get all the recovery of the debt, and it'll push the British pound note right up once we start hooking in all these debtors, criminals, one by one. We've lumped them all together in one photo and then pull them off one by one. Big job for anybody who's a sheriff to go after the debtors when we get some finance in the bank, the Moai Powerhouse Bank or the Moai Royal Bank, and get going with the debtor instruments coming up. Moai Federal State Joint UK Government. Oh, I said that. I've been through that. And we go on to the next picture. There, I don't know what that is. I didn't write it down. 8-point star, or it'd be St. Patrick 8-point star church, King William III, 1689 to 1701 Acts of Westminster Parliament, and 1836. Oh, that's Frank McElharron. That's a video of him and doing the meet and where I went to with Paul Brown. We did an unveiling of that gravesite where St. Patrick is buried. That's where his title is, not where he's born in Rome, Italy. So there, we've taken claim to that 8-point star, the wealth, the Municipalities Act 1835 of King William IV. That's where the money is. That's why they wear it. You see him on his horse in the middle of there. That's his seal that we use on our documents. And the 8-point star of the Municipalities Act is to pick the rent up off the land for the king. And that's King William IV's crown on top of the 8-point star. So that's what that means. That is all your wealth in the world. Even the Pope got his wealth out of this flag, out of the flag and this 8-point star of St. Patrick. So there, that's for Frank McElharron and Sean Maguire to follow that up and keep on their tail with that claim to that and to the whole of the commerce. So there, you own it. You own what I say. So 8-point star of St. Patrick. So we're going to those acts of 1689, the Admiralty Act there, and the Municipalities Act of King William III as well. So there we can go right back and use those acts in our documents without statutes added that corrupted. All the statutes from those periods on from King George V onwards, and Queen Victoria corrupted all of the systems that the kings set up, and took all the time in the world and the effort to set it all up and go and conquer countries, while the Queen sat on their ass and just reaped it off and took it away to their royal families. We're going to get it back for you this way. So we got two more pictures going past before I go on to the next bit. The British Royal Navy Admiral of the Fleet, Lord Boyce, KG, CCB, OBEDL, Michael Cecil Boyle, legal partner to the President of the Legal Inheritance of the Hapu Confederation of Chiefs of Aotea, New Zealand, and over the four corners of the world in 250 countries under the Moai Crown Corporation's business. Why I say Moai Crown is because Queen Victoria corporatized the Moai statue as an instrument of wealth, and she commercialized it on her documents that are private, that you don't see, that I get to see. So there, that's why you use that instrument. You use the Moai statue memorial on the documents to claim your certificate of land on your country that's being invaded and alienated. You use the Moai. He's big all over the world where the wealth is. They put them in those countries as a symbol of wealth. And so we've got one in New Zealand in Dunedin. It's got a crown on his head. That's the crown that Queen Elizabeth stole off East Island and put there for her documents over New Zealand as her title to the land. And so they used that, usurped the whole thing in that. And then we've got that seal. Then we've got King William IV on his horse on dry land from the Sea of Admiralty. So he has the right on the dry land with this dry land flag. There's no other dry land flag from a king anywhere in the world from Westminster. Only one flag, this one above Andy's head. So there, flag, king on the horse, King William IV on that seal, on that 8-point star, and his crown on the top of it, and St. Patrick, and the seal of Moai is the main instruments in these documents are put together to claim the whole damn lot back to yourselves. Every country. British Royal Navy and Armed Forces are obligated to our Confederation's superior trading bank flag Admiralty authority. So we're claiming authority to use this flag and stop people from using it for the wrong reasons. So there, I've got that picture of him and the coins coming up again. But King William III put the Bank of England Act together and 1694 Bank of England Act. So he did all the commercials. Just hold that one there, Andy. I'll talk about that one a little bit. And so Queen Mary, King William III's wife, died in 1694, right when the Bank of England Act came out. So he was on his own. He's on his own after that. So there, that's one for you, Kate. She's gone. From there on, it's King William III all the way through on his own, King of Britain, UK, head over. So there, we've got that document that Andy just had a minute ago. That's the declaration of war that was put together by Matu Tarawa, one of the chiefs of the Confederation. And on it, it's got all those acts of war that I can't read out, but you can read them out and blow it up on your Facebook site. And I didn't want to dwell on it, but I can read them out. I can open it up here. I can open it up here, and
I can read it out.
Because I should. You read it out, Andy. I need you to read it out.
Yeah.
That's the declaration we got against the people.
So yeah, I'll just share the screen so people can see it while I'm reading it. So this is the Maori government of Aotearoa, declaration of war. declared this 28th day of June of the year 2002. The criminal acts are committed by the unconstitutional New Zealand colonial government and all judicial enforcement agencies thereof upon the sovereign Maori nation, all natives of the land, and all other peoples who stand with them are inexcusable and will no longer be tolerated. This list of criminal acts perpetrated by the unconstitutional New Zealand government and all judicial enforcement agencies thereof upon the people of this nation included but not limited to the following: treason, economic terrorism, fraud and deception, conspiring to commit unlawful acts, murder, kidnapping, theft, intimidation, crimes against humanity, crimes against the environment, enslavement, wrongful arrests and convictions, unlawful seizure of lands and property. As of this 01 hours on the 29th day of June of the year 2002, our nation will be at war. Our treaty partner, Queen Elizabeth II, will be informed of our decision. It is duty bound to assist under Section 2 of the Declaration of Independence 1835, Article 2 of the Titi Waitangi, and page 287, Section 71 of the New Zealand Constitution Act. We, the undersigned, have sworn and will uphold the sovereignty of the Maori Nation under the Confederation flag and Declaration of Independence, 28th of October, 1835, the Tinti o Waitangi, 6th of February, 1840, and the Constitution of the Maori Nation under Almighty God. God save the Queen.
So there we go. That's what we're putting that order today, the same order, repeating it in this affidavit video of what we're charging them against one hit, the whole lot of them. Every single corporate company that has made its money and wealth from using fraudulent Queen, everything on that document is liable. Any corporate company that you think has defrauded you or the public or the banks have done it against you, they're liable from now on from this document this day. And so all I'm saying is, when we did those documents in those times with Machu Tarawa from Te Arawa, we really were going as Maori. That's why I've split off the Maori as a partner to the Queen in the government of New Zealand and the Queen's Bench Court, and gone with Moai to separate the two of the native, one side of the native that was fused to the Queen and one side of the native that's fused to the King. So there, you have to choose yourself which way you want to go. And there, if you go that side with the Queen, you're liable. You're liable from this side of anything that you do may be used from this statement of this document and what we're saying as a defendant. You become a defendant against the pound note debtor instrument if you get something wrong in using this flag for the wrong reasons. So there, I spent too long in the Maori government, and with Sue Nakora, the Prime Minister of the then Maori government. She's passed away now. And so there, that's just another era. They're still carrying on with the Maori government, but they're going to have problems with Jacinda Ardern and those Maoris that are in the government, that they don't care about what anybody does in a Maori, because they're already doing a Maori government themselves in the Parliament with the Te Ture Whenua Act, the Maori Land Act, and everything. They're usurping all that lot for their little corporate business. So there, just bear in mind, all these corporate companies like the Queen and Right of New Zealand are there for their own little private business and nothing to do with you. They don't care about you, full stop. So there, that's just tidy that up a little bit. And so we go on, and I'll say this one again. The British Royal Navy and British Armed Forces are obligated. They are obligated to our Confederation's superior Admiral, superior trading bank flag Admiralty authority and jurisdiction, but authority, mainly the authority. We have the authority to do what we're doing right here against anybody who's getting in our road between here and Britain. That includes the New Zealand government that have to come in front of us. They have to come in front of you on this video, on Zoom, with their mobile phone. They have no reason not to, because they're right there. They're right there. They can press the button to save themselves and defend themselves against their accusations. I do in the second part of this native court hearing, magistrate court hearing, with them in enforcements against them. So we're forcing them into this court. We're into contract. I'm pulling them into contract with me, just me, on behalf of all the people that are not in contract. It's just me, just me in the contract on behalf of the Confederation, Alfred here, and a few of the others who will come on board whenever they wish so to. So there, they know what they're doing, but no one has gone into the commercial side of the Confederation as deep as this. Only me and Mohi Manukau have done this for a long few years while I was living there with his brother in Helensville. So a declaration of war, that's what we're doing. We're making this statement here. A declaration of war against these pirates operating corporate contract business on the high seas of King William IV, King William III, and King William IV Admiralty jurisdiction of our Confederation of Chiefs, King William IV flag, sovereign, ruler, emperor, authority. So they're usurping it without anybody knowing. They won't tell anybody, but they hold a flag in the cabinet in Wellington, and they usurp the damn thing in Waitangi with the iwi Maori trustees there, and also the Crown owns the Waitangi marae and everything that happens there. But the Navy's there for us. I was hoping to have Dion Walker, D-Hop, on tonight, but he's got a band practice. He would have talked about the Navy officer that said in his own lips moving video that he's obligated to the flag. The Navy's obligated to the flag. So we got that affidavit as well to go along with this. Here, right here, this statement I just made, as we have the use to use that flag from now on. And use it against war. What I mean by a declaration of war is the financial side of anybody tampering with our contract between us and Britain. That's what it means. Anybody that gets in the road of whatever I say or whatever we make statements about against anybody, then we call on the British Navy to come, and the British Armed Forces and anybody else that wishes to come along and help us with the pound note to pay themselves out of it, and all the rest of it is history. They once they know how it works and how we propose to do it, then they are obligated to do it, to follow us. You, the New Zealand and British, American, Australian, Canadian government and world government corporate bank created fraudulent land transfer titles and birth certificate sovereign bonds, defrauded the corrupted the laws of the land, abused the judiciary courts of Admiralty law and courts of maritime law through the fake fiat US dollar notes and counterfeit money mortgage bank fraud documents through deception and manipulation of financial markets and shares. So there, we're just saying that the corporate people are using the sovereign bonds. That's your birth certificate. That's the Pope doing that. Birth certificates as instruments to make money out of you and sell on the stock market. So they're making a lot of money, lots of money out of you and your birth certificate on the stock market. We're pulling that back off them in this statement right here. and put it back into the King's Bench Court. Judgment charges for loss, harm, injury, war, genocide here. And you've got another picture, Andy, there somewhere. Contract of debt. This is the title. Contracts of debt that you put on these people. Admiralty and maritime law as applied to these corporate fraud crown agent cases of name, photo, ID criminals under the acts listed here, UCC law. So I've got a thread there that you can read. These are just so simple to go through instead of a lot of acts here and there and everywhere. You just go to the main ones that affects everybody and just read them straight off there and the meanings of it instead of looking at a whole bunch of acts from courts to bamboozle you. I just don't like all the acts in the world to bamboozle you when you can get it with one act, one Admiralty Act to scrub it the whole lot. So the next picture along was another one, U.S. Declaration of War Act. That's another video, another thread for what the Congress in America is using their instrument to make war on people and take away your rights and everything, completely takes everything away with the Admiralty, this Admiralty flag. They're using this Admiralty flag. I'll make that statement right here. They're using that Admiralty flag that the Queen gave to America, Queen gave to all the people she makes business with. And the government here got it from Waitangi, from the chiefs, not the chiefs, I'll say from the iwi trustees on the marae, give the Governor General, when he comes up to Waitangi, gives him the authority to usurp the damn daylights out of that flag and its legal instruments to make a lot of money. And so there, I just make that statement right to their face that we are using the same flag, documents, and seals against them of a higher authority than they have ever in the world. Admiralty and Maritime Law, Tape 1 of 4 Admiralty Court has 2 different tribunals. Instant Court of Admiralty jurisdiction is under U.S. Constitution Art 3, Section 2. So we just refer to that, and then there's your answer. Instant Court of Admiralty jurisdictions. This is why we put this writ warrant straight on the head from these acts here. I can pull them out and stick it straight on the head, but do it for the whole lot of them, so I don't have to do it on each one of them. I just clobber the whole lot in one affidavit. One affidavit equals the sum of the whole of the affidavits that I've written up. And you just use the whole act here on the whole lot of them. Each and every criminal is the same. They get the same £1 trillion note on their head, every one of them. It doesn't matter about the value of how much it's worth. They don't care about how much things are worth because they got lots of money in trillions and quadrillions. And so I just put these big figures on, and I got it out of OPPT, where I got those figures, and Swiss Indo, where I got these big figures I got in trillions. So there, they can argue about that and come online and say, no, that's not true. I said, well, produce your figures against what I'm saying, $1 trillion on your head, and see where you got yours from. So there, I'm putting my figures from what I've done in my research in front of them, and it's up to them to prove otherwise, that it's wrong. So that'll pull them out to make the right figures they've got, and then sting them on that. Sting the hang out of them on that. All of your judges of the bench today are commissioned vice admirals. Yeah, see that? Vice admirals under the King's Bench. Listen to that. You read it there. A King's Bench. Vice admiral. That means under us, the admiral. Under us, the admiral. The boss of the whole of these documents and money-making machines. Yep. So there. That's for you to read why it's there on your Facebook or wherever I send it to read. This is the top end of Admiralty law where the money is made and all your land is stolen from this. The Admiral under the King's Bench. That's why I went back to the King's Bench Magistrate Court. The magistrate is the man with the bag that I've got, hops off his ship, drops on the land and says it belongs to the King, sticks the flag in the ground, and that's the beginning of commerce on your land, how they do it. At All is being orchestrated by the Lord High Admiral, the President of the US. See that fellow that's half-wit and lunatic president, he's got all this power in the world, the most power in the world of a man who's not capable of running a straight, clean government in Congress, in Parliament. And here I'm coming along and measuring up with him to tell him, show me your title. How did you get it? And who did you get it from? And it'll all go back to Westminster and King William IV, if it's proven here on this court, not in the other court, because they're all fraud. So there, those are just some of this. It's quick to get to the answer than to beat around in courts, less authority courts in the land. That's why I don't bother going to courts in New Zealand or even bother entertaining courts in Britain, because they don't fall under this jurisdiction. Only us and the common law people of the King's common law people. All of you judges and branch today are commissioned vice admirals. Stick that in your head, under the King's bench. Right, 6, the IRS Code 917 states all assets or seizures, the word, are done under the supplementary rules A, B, C, D, F, G, under the Insurrection and Rebellion Act, passed the first act, 2 acts, and passed 1861. The second was passed 7/17/1862. See volume 12 of the U.S. Statutes at Large. So there, that's what the U.S. is grabbing all the land, grabbing everything off people. They use this. 1861. That's in Queen Victoria's time. See all the fraud beginning there. So we go down to maritime law and 2 distinct forms. Emergency Bank Act, that's what they're using now. We're using now the Emergency Bank Act to get all that wealth back. The Emergency Act was passed by Roosevelt March 9th, 1933. And this here, the Powers Act, War Powers Act. You see how they grab your land and take all your power off the government, and put their government on top of another government. And that's what they're going to do to New Zealand here. If we don't put this on top of them, they're going to do that to New Zealand as the first country in the New World Order. That's why I'm doing this, to stop them from doing this and taking our country over by the United Nations, and then go and do the whole rest of the native countries in the world with the same blueprint plan from New Zealand that they set up in the first place. This 1933, on Mount Eden Hill, me and Professor, what's her name, Jean Odine, made a video. I put it on my thing. I should have had the video here of her, so you can see the video of her and this plaque that the government put up on the hill of Mount Eden, just opposite Mount One Tree Hill, that marks the bankruptcy of America. They stuck it here first. They stuck that on the 9th of March 1933 on Mount Eden Hill, and put the thing in the ground. See, so I linked that to all the business was set up here in New Zealand before it went to America in this Treaty of Waitangi document that they failed to put the Taka seal watermark on their 1840 treaty, and they put one that didn't have a British government press authority to put the 1840 treaty, then take it to America, then do all this sort of thing here at the time of King William IV, 1933, at the time of that America was bankrupt and New Zealand, and so that's where they started putting these pound notes on your head, that's the British one with the 1 bar, and then made the fiat money, the US dollar, from that pound note. See, so that's a little story there. Constitution of No Authority by Lysander Schooner. There is an unlimited grant of power. So they give themselves a lot of power in this Admiralty. HJR 9192, June 6, 1933, the Emergency Banking Act, see, the money side, which was codified into Title 31, Section 51182D. It is hereby declared to be against public policy for any contract or obligation to contain a clause which purports to give and obliges the right to demand payment in any kind of specific coin, King William coin, or currency of the US. In 1977, it was amended to allow gold and silver coins, but they are still not legal tender. They are still not using money as legal tender. FRN are not money. They are private bills of credit, aka bills of exchange. So there, all those things, instead of me mucking around with acts of King William III and IV, I'll just go straight to what America is doing, then use it back on them. Saves a lot of bother. The Parliament, you just go straight to Parliament, that they have sovereignty over the sovereign people and the courts. That's like New Zealand. The Parliament has sovereignty over you, and they grant themselves sovereign rights to act for you and pick the money off you, land and leases, and take their big bet out and give the rest to the Queen and to the United Nations for borrowing money against you. Under the UNCOTL, United Nations Commission on Trade and International Law, they superseded Article 3 of the UCC in December 9th, 1988 in the New York City. It is no good anyone under this convention. They have an international UCC and it tells you how to do these bills of exchange. There are 99 articles in this convention and it tells you how to do the international bill of exchange. So I've been through all of that. I'll go through it on another Zoom video. When we get to the financial side, I'll explain all of that lot. Not tonight. International bills of exchange. I'm just merely making statements here of what we are doing now with these acts, and the same time as America using these acts, then challenge them in their jurisdiction and where they get the authority from to use these acts that came out of Britain, Westminster. Bank checks as international bills of exchange. I'm just making certain you know what I'm doing with the pound note. I'm making the pound note do the business here, commercial business against people that are frauding the system and the Admiralty law. They're abusing the Admiralty law to make a lot of money for themselves. The United Nations Treaty is the supreme law of the land and not the Constitution. See, the Constitution is a license to run a country from Britain. And here they override it. They give themselves power by just making themselves a supreme law of the land. So what I do here is I do the same thing, make us supreme law of the land. And then we have superior documents against them in any court. So that's I'm saying we're making this court equal or better than their court. And that's what I say. 72 judges and commissioners called the National Conference of Commissioners put the UCC together in 1940. They did it from the NIL 196 negotiable instruments. Negotiable instruments. We got a pound note, a negotiable instrument, right there. Law 136. So yeah, we go straight to the law and see what I'm doing with a pound note for you people, which comes from the English Bill of Exchange of 1691 and 1692. See, so that's King William III's time. He's doing all the work, not and his wife, Prince Mary, is dead. She's long gone. She's long gone. He's got the reign here. He's got the reign. 72 judges, we said that. This is now making a statement here. When you see things in big bold printing, it means I'm shouting at you so you can hear. This is a declaration of financial bank war contract flag of UK Navy, Admiralty, and maritime law jurisdiction over the fraudulent cabal. You know who they are. The Rothschild Families Committee of 300. You know who those are. The Rothschild Bank of England, the City of London, America itself, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Britain, UK, Crown. The Crown in brackets is the money wealth that's sitting on the top of the Queen's head. That's the Crown, the money, the wealth that's picked up from all your native lands, all the leases, rents, fines, taxes, the whole works. Washington, D.C., Vatican City, private corporations. So you can't inquire into a private corporation's business. It's the same as my Powerhouse Bank and my Royal Bank. You can't inquire into that because that's private. That's our business to know and nobody else's. And that's just, but I'll open it up for you to see in another Zoom meeting what that's all about. So I'm just exposing the private side of a corporation as being a corporate company ourselves. I've had these companies registered for some time, but they've been sitting dormant, waiting for this moment in time when America put the declaration of war on everybody in the world, and then we do the same thing back. So the next picture that came along, Andy might open it up if he got lucky. My crown, it slows up on the computer when that happens. My crown, God's earth face sovereign seal. I'm just saying that the Moai crown is just an instrument of commercial instruments, and that's all. And it's God Himself and His law, LORE, law of truth, as against any other gods that are there. But this is commercial. I'm talking in commercial. Sovereign seal, London, Britain, UK, corporatized DNA land title instrument. So that's what's just saying. So you saw that picture of Netanyahu. I just want to say that when I did my documents on Facebook, every time I put his name, it got scrubbed out. And so somebody in Israel is stopping me from putting Netanyahu's name. So I put it in Gmail. I put it in Gmail, then dropped it on Facebook, and it got there. So got around that problem. So they've been mucking around with my typing on Facebook. Don't want me to open up this thing so you can see. So there's Netanyahu, and who's that on right? Who's that? That's our minister here. That's a minister, I forget what his name. Yeah, so that's him making deals with Israel. Then Israel turned on us and said Israel is at war with New Zealand. There's a big document there on that as well, that Israel called New Zealand an enemy of war. And they put a statement out, and I've got that on my Facebook site as well, of him doing that to New Zealand, declaring war. So that's him locked there. Those two are locked as criminals in this court. Okay, so he's got 1,000 trillion on his head, and he's got 1,000 trillion on his head. So the figures real comes out of the crown, their crown, and not you. So they'll just lose what they got in their pocket, and they'll lose the lot. I'll say that anybody got their pictures on these documents, on this video, on these on Facebook or anywhere like that, are liable. No, they're liable for debt and for imprisonment and arrest. I've got a writ warrants. I've got wrist warrants to go back into Cook Street to do the same thing, Andy, and to arrest all those people, 40 of them that got in my road and stopped me doing my business of arresting properties. So once I do one property, the rest will just follow and arrest a whole lot of them. Yeah, so that just write it down a bit, Andy, so I can see who else is there. So there we got that 8-point star there. We got it on that document there just to show you that's where the money is. That's where the gold is. That's where your land's gone, into that crown, and the king, that crown on his head, on the top of the 8-point star of St. Patrick, and the King William IV on his horse in the middle of it. That's why I made that the sheriff's badge on the documents, to come after them with the debt instrument pound note. So there's what it's saying there. It supply act. Oh, those are some of the acts that I'm using from King William IV or King William III to enforce. We're enforcing these acts tonight in the enforcements later on in the second half of this court hearing. Everything here is on record as being true, the truth and nothing but the truth, so help me God. So there's some more acts there to go up against those people. And we can use any of those acts in Parliament, not the acts in New Zealand government with all the statutes and all the mess on statute acts here and all the other Commonwealth countries. They're all got statute acts made up by themselves. These are clean. These are only 19 pages. There's only 19 A4 pages in King William IV's acts. 19 pages, not much to go under. And it's got all the acts there to pull any of them out. Andy, easy peasy. No problems, no problems. International Bill of Exchange. So there, that's just shows you that we mean business. We know what we're doing. We want to show the world and show the government in Westminster. We know what we're doing, and people will learn fast this way from what I'm telling them what to do or how to do it, and how to get your wealth back instead of being poor. I'm poor, and so that should not be any longer once we get you people behind it, and anybody, that means anybody that can come in and join this side of the ledger. Anytime. You got all the time in the world to do that. So we go on to bills of exchange, bank checks, the United Nations Treaty. The United Nations Treaty is the supreme law of the land, not the Constitution. That's the United Nations taking over the world in the New World Order, like hell, like hell. They're not going to get away with this one after we've been through this lot. So the acts of Parliament, King William there, and those people, anybody in those pictures, at that time I was making these affidavits against them. And so whenever you see a document of mine on Facebook, on 83 Facebook pages, with somebody's face there, it means they've got £1 trillion on their head after them. And the crown, their crown, the Queen's crown, will pay for the rest, the balance. And they pay what they got in their pocket. The sheriffs will come after all their properties, all their banks, all their investments, all their gold, all their shares, the whole bloody lot. Right. 72 judges and commissioners called the National Conference of Commissioners put the UCC law together in 1840. They did it from the NL 196 Negotiable Instruments Law. 196, which comes from the English Bill of Exchange Act of 1691 and 1692. Tip. Bills of Exchange, Negotiable Instrument, Moai pound note, and King Tawhio pound note. Yeah, those two go together, and this act right there sticks the pound note right up them. This is Sydney. We're on to the Rothschilds. We've been through the Rothschilds already, and we've gone to that picture, and we've gone to the Moai crown, or God's earth face, sovereign. He's the sovereign. Seal, the seal, London, Britain, UK, corporatized DNA land title instrument. Okay, we've done that in that picture. Next one. I am the president and native indigenous Tahitian Moai family author, writer of the Confederation of Chiefs legal inheritance to the crown, the big crown, the crown on the Queen's head. Legal inheritance, that word legal. There's the seal there. That's the seal we're using on our documents that's standing in London, the city of London. So we claim that back for theft and all the rest of it in the enforcements we got, and the wealth that got out of that instrument. Crown, I'm the president, native indigenous Tahitian Moai family, author, writer of the Confederation of Chiefs legal inheritance that's claimed to the crown. Proof of claim, native land certificate of title documents of my crown, state sovereign of the Hapu Rangatira and people of New Zealand and Pacific Islands and original native populations of the world in 250 countries. We swear our allegiance and lives to the my God, the creator of heaven and earth, spirit planet, and swear our allegiance to King William IV, Admiral of the Fleet, with Michael Boyce, successor, Lord Byron, Michael Boyce, and the people gathered in this Confederation of Chiefs Zoom video affidavit minutes, recorded live in the Native Magistrate King's Bench Court hearing today, established UK-New Zealand Crown partnership with each other and the British Royal Navy Admiral of the Fleet, Michael Boyce, in an unbroken security of bank trading financial investment interest in this our joint commercial contract with the Hapu Rangatira Confederation of Chiefs since the 20th of March 1834, King William IV flag jurisdiction given to the collective of Hapu Confederation of Chiefs who legally owns clear title to the Crown Trust. That's the trust, the big trust that they've been scarfing all over the place to their elite families, and the Queen Victoria Trust, World Bank, Swiss Indo, gold, land, money, assets as prized possessions in England, Britain, UK, and world in partnership now, calling for the replacement of the head of the Crown Trust, Queen Elizabeth II, and trustees Prince Andrew and Queen Sophia from Spain. The chiefs and people are calling up the Treasury of audit of accounts and immediate settlement and foreclosure on the Crown Trust, corporations, businesses, and distribution of the trust funds and Syracuse Trust, Vatican City Bank with world population sovereign bonds stock market value. So there, we're seizing with a writ warrant. I've got writ warrants, all that property of the Syracuse Trust, the Queen Victoria Trust, and the trusted Crown Trust itself, all of the wealth back into our My Crown King William IV Trust. There, so one trust to the other trust, the business corporation to the other business corporation, challenge them in this court. If they don't come up with the documents of title that I'm holding, then the law passes as contract law, contract admiralty law, contract makes law and law makes contract. So there, the fair exchange of if you don't appear, then it goes against you, and the people watching are witness to that in this court. So there, we've gone through that. I'm just valuing up the pound note of its worth value with all these instruments that are stacked up against the other side crown, the King's Crown versus the Queen's Crown. So there, Swiss Indo, Indonesia. So we've got some clips here on the Swiss Indo that I've been up against since about 2011, 2016. So there we have Mr. Sino. You'll see a letter of mine at the bottom. We won't read those, Andy. I'll just go run over. We'll leave that for another Zoom meeting. Just on that, those are quadrillions of dollars, US dollars, worth value that the United Nations is dishing out to all the humanity, and they keep all the rest for themselves. They administer it, but we're going after the whole damn lot, and we administer it, the whole lot, and make them debtors because they're running a fraud scam business. And so there, that Swiss Indo with Swiss Indo Jakarta in Indonesia. At the end of that, you'll see my letter that I wrote to the ambassador in New Zealand, Bernard, in Jakarta, Indonesia, to see if he can get Mr. Sino, he's the president of the Swiss Indo, that they locked them up under house arrest and kept the money for themselves. And I put the letter to get him out of house arrest and go back to his position of being president of all those quadrillions of dollars that I'm putting a pound note right over the top of it, bang right over the top of it, because it's in a king's jurisdiction versus that's in the Queen's jurisdiction of where they got their wealth, where they got that money from our trust. That's come out of our Queen Victoria Trust, for goodness sake. Nobody's owned up to it. I did this in 2011, made a claim for that trust, but no one was listening. And so now everybody will listen to this lot. So there, that's that. You can read it in your own time. So save us time so I can get whipped through these a lot, because we're going to have a break halfway through. Once I get these names of these people out of the road and have a little break, and then go into the enforcement acts after that. For enforcing everything we're saying. And we just, by default contract, pass the whole lot, one shot, and no argument. With Swiss Jakarta in Indonesia, of a total value combined of Crown Trust mortgage foreclosure worth 970 million trillion in Moai pound note gold bullion, in property, countries, and people debtor instruments valued in this hearing, and immediately replace the head of the trust, Queen Victoria Trust, with myself, President and Lord Admiral of the Confederation of Chiefs. Today, these orders from this court hearing today enforced into King's law of the land and sea Admiralty fleet. So there, I'm just taking responsibility, the same as what President Joe Biden of America is doing, the same thing with these titles, President of the Lord High Admiral, Lord Admiral. And he's given himself that title and no substance underneath it. So there, we put him on the stand, put his photo there, come into Zoom, because he got a mobile, he can press the button anytime to come onto a Zoom and state his case against me. So all these people have got me in the road now.
And me right beside you.
And Alfred watching over you lot. First up in this Zoom meeting, who is for New Zealand and Britain, UK, the world's 250 country participation in this native magistrate King's Bench Court hearing, worldwide viewers witnessing these ongoing legal legitimate events. So there, we have at least 2 Zoom court hearings a week if we can make it, or otherwise just one. But I want to get on with it. I want to get on with it and try to get 2 cases. I've got to get a new laptop replacement from a brand new one in a box I opened up from Kate Baker. Thank you, Kate. But the keys didn't work. So there, I hit a snag. Otherwise, we would have been all right with that, and I would read off on this old laptop, and then a screen on the with my documents directly. Well, Andy's doing a good job there with opening them up, all right, and on the main laptop when I get it next week. So then I should be back to normal, not panicking like how I was today and yesterday, going around in circles trying to fix my old computer up. But it's had it. I've got to take the hard drive. They've got to take it out and put it in and transfer all the files, all these documents, into the new laptop. There. So there, that gets me going from a poor man. I'm putting contract. This is a statement here of the law itself. Contract of debt. That's the title. Contract of debt. I'm putting each individual's name, man or woman, as Crown agents into the guilty as charged defaulted contract judgment debtors. With me, John Hoani-Kahaki Wanoa, Moai Crown Principal. So I'm the principal, and they're the agent of the Crown, the big Crown in England. I'm the principal with Michael Boyce, Admiral of the Fleet. There, just him and I, and not the whole Parliament, because they're corrupt. So there, and the beneficiaries of our Moai King William IV Trust. So the new trust that is a creditor, principal, and the other trust, the Queen Victoria Trust and the Crown Trust that the Queen sits on, is the judgment debtors, agents, right? That's how it works. New Zealand private corporations, a judgment. Oh, hang on. Moai King William IV Trust, new private corporations, that's new now, judgment creditors. Ngā Atua e Wā Aotea Limited, New Zealand, registered, and Moai Powerhouse Group Limited, London, corporation creditors, that's registered too, versus the Crown Corporation's debtors. Link listed in these court orders issued to recover the debts owed and due under this title here, statement of law, contracts of debt. That's the meaning of that word, contracts of debt. When Queen's Bench Court and Parliament Vice Admiral clashes with King's Admiral law, the King's Admiral law prevails. In our favour, outright claim with the navies of the world and militaries paid by the Moai Pound Note and Moai Federal Government, UK, New Zealand. So a federal government with the flag, the only federal government with a real king flag, with us in New Zealand and UK. It should have been like that long ago, back in King William's days, but our chiefs weren't savvy on English language and understanding law like this. The hearings for prosecuting criminals listed below in their natural born real names and likeness photographs and video identification of fraudulent New Zealand, UK Crown agents, corporations, in personam, rem, corrupt corporate name businesses, CEOs, name agents, committing ongoing fraud crimes linked concurrently with King George V, Queen Victoria, and Queen Elizabeth II bloodline Rothschild families. UK, EU, CA, Canada, Australia, AU, US, United States of America, UK, UN, NATO, WF, WEF, WHO, TPP, NZ, New Zealand, USA, CDC, corporations, grand theft, fraud, fakes of church and state, private criminals, true oaths. So we're just putting labels on them, and they won't like that. They won't like that one bit. Cases against Crown agents in the High Court rules and Rolls Building, Fetter Lane, London City. That's a case I put together in London, but I didn't have the money to carry on with it because I was talking trillions, and you need lots of millions to pay the fees to recover trillions. So we don't expect to pay money. We just use our note instead of paying money. Maori main bankers, identity named and photos. Andrew Devine, I sent a clock calculator to people to convert the New Zealand time to their country for each Zoom meeting to set the time now for this World Court hearing against these living souls, breathing live criminals. So there, the clock, I put the clock there again so people can check up the time to come and listen from anywhere in the world in 250 countries. Because they have to own this too. You all own it. UK, New Zealand, Joint Federal State Moai Crown Prosecutor, Judge John Hoani-Kahaki Wanoa. Registered General, Judge Alfred James Mitchell. Secretary, Automated Google Cloud Speech to Text API Minute Taker. So we have automatic. Hold on one, Andy. I'll talk just a fraction on that one. That's a very good one. In a minute, just when I get through this bit. So we have our titles, Alfred and I. He's an Attorney General. That's a lot to do with legal stuff and the top end of what government's allowed to do in commerce. So we don't have to have a secretary. It's no mistakes in this court, in writing and typing. No, it just comes straight out, the whole thing, as long as it comes out better in the form of this program to convert it and everything. And it separates the speakers from one another's speech. It comes out text and automatic, so I had to pay for that. service, and so we've got that now. That's to complete a proper court hearing with minutes and a secretary to take those down, and a register of names, of calling out names. We don't have to call any names, we just put them on the screen and go for it. Confederation of Chiefs President John Hoani-Kahaki Wanoa, that's me. So I've got that title with this flag and all the rest of our Confederation documents with Alfred as well. So until any other Confederation of Chiefs comes up and comes before us in this court hearing, from what they're doing and getting nowhere with being Maori, with this government, they don't listen, they just go right over the top of it. And everything they're doing with the flag, that doesn't do anything either, because Charles Hirschfeld, the Maori lawyer, told me, he was my lawyer, told me that I had to get the legal back in the flag. So we're making the legal right here. We're making the legal right here in front of you, instead of going to a court where you have to get your research from one of their professors. The professors won't go this deep, they won't go this far, or know this much. So that's one up on them. Maui Crown Court orders enforced today, 26th of May 2022, under Admiralty Law, Maritime Law. These laws that we just went through. So we got some more pictures of that there. That one you had before, Andy. Where's that one with that four points of the globe? And that's a native title. That's our claim over the Vatican that can't produce something like that. With those, that one there. This one here is Mauai's title to the world, in the four corners of the world, on those 4 points, those 3 points where you see the sun shining at the same time on the tip of the beach of East Cape on my land blocks at Te Pito, and the tip on the beach in Tahiti, on the beach there at midday, and Ghana, Africa, up the top there at 6 p.m. Those 3 points, that's our title. The survey marks of this world, round Earth, round globe, round sphere Earth, not a flipping flat Earth. And so this has got a round spinning ball in the middle that makes all the power energy for this. There's a generator, motor, battery, electric motor, battery and generator in one. It produces all the power for the universe from here, for goodness sake. If they only knew, this is the title of that sun shining there in the three places on Mount Hikurangi and East Coast on the right hand side there. You can see it, and Akuhata on the other side at 6 p.m. and midday right on the dot on Easter Island, and they're down there in Indonesia or somewhere, India is the other part at midnight. So that's four corners of the planet that are marked there to claim against the Vatican or the Queen or Britain, UK. Where did they get the authority from? God. This is God's title. It's square, a circle of light inside a square inside a circle of light, a mirror image triangle of a circle of light there. And then we stick it to the Admiralty and those memorials there in Egypt, and that. So that's the story for another day, Andy. So there, I'm just making that moai quite clear. That belongs to you, God's law, Lore, tikanga law, in Raiate Island, Taputapu Ake Marae, open air. It's not in a church or roof building. All their karakia prayers are done out in the open, straight up into the sky. So there, and so that's a title, Andy. That is an sworn affidavit of just what I'm telling you, and the big long story that goes with it. So there, that's the end of that law. The charges are for challenges by those who we prosecute for each alleged defender, responder to come on video live on camera to say these charge figures I rule on are wrong, and for each offender who must produce their own figures and truth evidence, otherwise this native King's Bench Magistrate World Court. I'm calling it a World Court tonight because we opened it up to the world to come in. Otherwise, it's just New Zealand and Britain. We have Zoom meetings for New Zealand by itself, Zoom meetings for Britain by itself, and then Britain and New Zealand Zoom meetings together. And then now, tonight, it's for the whole world that this Hui Magistrate Court is for, because they have to start learning fast how to do this, so they can go put them on the spot in their countries. Hang on. The charges are to be challenged by those we prosecute for each alleged defendant responded to come on video camera to say these charges figures are ruled on are wrong, and for each offender who must produce their own figures and truth evidence. Otherwise, the Native King's Bench Magistrate World Court shall legally make a ruling authority order to accept your silence and non-performance as guilty, not proven innocent, and arrest you each and seize your properties, wealth, land, houses, business, investments, gold, assets, back into the custody of the lawful Confederation of Chiefs, Maui Crown, Maui Royal Bank, Maui Powerhouse Bank, corporate private businesses, and British Royal Navy and British Armed Forces protection and ownership, sovereign partnership. So there, we wrap that right up together as a title claim against the Crown Corporations. You, the accused, must challenge this claim within 21 days from 6 p.m. today, Thursday, the 26th of May, 2022 to 4 p.m., Friday, the 24th, 2022. After this time passes, it becomes my Crown and King William IV law over the land in 250 countries in the world and their navy, militaries, and armies protection of this business under these acts. So there, the armies all over the world that the Pope is using are obligated to this flag of substance, and not the Pope that has no substance to put the Admiralty law in front of him is what we're doing here. We're challenging his right to authority to use the Admiralty flag that he's holding on, the 20 flags that I sent with Mohi Manukau, the Paramount Chief, to Iri Manukau and Prince Peter of Malta way back in 2012, I think it was. So where those flags have gone to now, I really want to know where they are. I'll have to investigate with the military and the Navy to find who's going to use them and when. King William III and King William IV Acts of Westminster Parliament. So we're using those acts. Courtless, and this is like a normal courtless. They got courtless and all the names underneath the court list. So we have starting with we're starting to identify in person or in rem or people or things that are corporate businesses by name, and they have a director that they call the business a person, like if it was a real person. And so that we go and after the CEO, the chief executive of that corporation person business, and put the bill on the pound note on his business, the whole thing, all his business right through the world. Right, we start with the bankers controlling the world and stolen money on trial here today. My pound note against the missing tons of gold bullion. Now we've got a picture there, Andy, just under that. So there's the pound note with a £1 note with Desmond Wanoa, that's my nephew, with the Moai crown in Dunedin. Queen Elizabeth put that Moai there. That's her wealth and the crown that she's usurping for her title of New Zealand and for her titles to all the other native countries in the world, or in the Commonwealth countries at least, that she's usurping and stolen our Moai. Our God says, do not steal. So Queen Victoria stole one for her, and Queen Elizabeth stole this particular one for her. So we got her on a pound note to go after her, and Desmond there, who lives in Dunedin, that's where he's lived for a long time, and he's from the East Coast, Araroa, where I come from, and so he knows a lot of people down there, and he's waiting for me to take up his position on the farm once we get the land recovered. We've been trying to get on our land, and we've been prevented by the trustees and Runanga, the iwi corporations have stopped us from doing what we want on our land. And so we can open it up and stick this bill on their head and against their crown and say the Queen, her God is a bad God, and the Pope is a bad God for stealing the obelisks from Egypt and put them as penises in his Vatican city square, and people don't know that. You must know that they've stolen those memorials for their documents and their wealth generation instruments. So those are ours. We're having them up for theft of everybody's memorials in all their native countries that they've stolen by prized possessions of these kings, King William III and IV, prized possessions and in invading countries and stealing everything off it with those acts. The king wouldn't do that. The king didn't touch those obelisks or Moai memorials. They knew what they were and left them alone. It's only when the Queen came along later and stolen them, so the Pope went and did the same thing and stole as well. So they are bad people. I'm telling you, those churches had their Bibles, came out into the Pacific Islands with the Bible and a gun, and that's how they got the land with the Admiralty. They started with the Pope, they started with the church, the Bible, and then they pulled out the guns and shot you off the land with the Admiralty's title. So that's bad. I'm saying it's a bad God, and they need to repent their sins to a true God like Moai, and he's a good God. He doesn't go around doing those sort of things. We had no Bibles in the Pacific. We just went straight up to God, and no roof over the marae in Taputapuake marae in Raiatea. It's just pray in the middle straight up on the rocks. They sit on the rocks and go straight up. And that's verbal, no written stuff. We had verbal law, tikanga law, L-O-R-E, mouth to mouth, that's the law. And I'm saying mouth to mouth on this video with your lips moving is the L-O-R-E, law of God, this God, that what's better than a document is your lips moving live, not dead corpse like they have in the birthing and all the rest in their system. So no, we don't do that. We just come on the video and you're live. You're very much alive. And we're making ourselves live on these documents in front of them to show them they're the dead ones. So we go on with another picture after that, and then we're going on to next is Queen Elizabeth II on trial. There's enough pictures out there I have online that they can't remove because someone's saying don't touch. So those are just some of the things of affidavits. All of the picture with the Queen on and all those pictures with all those people backing her up, and just put them in one place to make it much easier on one document and one statement of claim, that it's jammed a lot of information into one page to make things easier in today's world. So the days of documents are starting to disappear when you've got a mobile phone and run everything from a mobile phone. I've got used to it now, running everything and typing and doing the whole works just by one mobile phone, and anywhere, go anywhere with it. So there we are. We've seen some pictures there. We go on to her, million trillion on her head. That's just her head, not the crown, just her personally. And so the figures will go up against the crown that she is there for. Lord Jacob de Rothschild, Nathan Neal. Oh, there's Queen Elizabeth there, wanted. So that picture was going around for a long time So I just pulled it up and put it there as being her identified as a criminal fraudster and treason against Britain. And you can see that very much why she's run away from the throne and gone to Scotland to get away, to hide away from facing this and facing me in Westminster Magistrate Court. So there, it'll come to her. She's on a mobile phone. She can come and defend herself as a defendant in this court. So these are graphic pictures that people put out, not mine. So I just grabbed them and put them there because other people have lots to say about her running of our trust and running the business off the rails. That's why I want to replace her as the head of the trust, our trust, where the money's gone into the United Nations and gone from there. There's all those people in this video, that photo there. And Andy, if you want to read their names out, because you can read them, and they're the main ones, the bankers of the world, that are holding you to ransom and saying you're the enemy, but they are the enemy right there. Say their names, Andy.
So number 1, Lord Jacob de Rothschild. Number 2, his son, Nathaniel. 3, Baron John de Rothschild. 4, Sir Evelyn de Rothschild. 5, David Rockefeller. 6, Nathan Warburg. 7, Henry Kissinger. 8, George Soros. 9, Paul Volcker. 10, Larry Summons. 11, Lord Blackfein. And 12, Ben Shalom.
There we go. Those are the people who are running the world, and they're the ones that the whole money.
Let's get there one more.
Yeah, they are the ones that are holding you to ransom and taking everything off you, and they don't care. So here we have we have the only last chance before they take over the world to go them together and agree to everything that's happening here in this court, so that we can put it on the record and approach them, or wait for them to approach us and respond at any time in 21 days. Notice is enough time, because they're default contract. They are a default contract because they've been tried in the world court and no one can win against them. This is the only way, with the high authority of that flag, to put them on trial, to strip them of everything. So there, they've got those names gone down. And then we have Klaus Schwab, the World Economic Forum boss. He's the one that's leading the charge with Jacinda Ardern here in New Zealand, and Trudeau in Canada, and the other guy in Europe, what's his name? Macron there. And so we're just naming those names at the moment, because we can always add these other names on as we go along, but there's plenty to pick off one by one. You can pick them off one by one, but it's better to lump them all in one affidavit and then do the whole lot of them one shot with a big pound note. Jacinda Ardern, Prime Minister of New Zealand, 1 million trillion, they're all the same. So the same amount for each of them. Barack Obama, Chief State Government. Nancy Pelosi, Chairwoman, U.S. Congress. Anthony Fauci, Doctor. Evelyn Rothschild, Advisor to the Queen Elizabeth II. Francis Pauly, CEO, Bank of England. These are latest. These are very latest. Boris Johnson, Prime Minister of Britain, UK. President Joe Biden. Benjamin Netanyahu. And there's another picture after that. I think that's the one of him. John Key. So there's another picture there. Yeah, there's Netanyahu. I just wanted to get Netanyahu of Israel, the corporate country that belongs to Palestine, the Palestinian people. They've gone and used the Admiralty and this war act to take over the whole country and take over the government and everything of that country. as the same as they've done with every other country. So we're going Israel for the fraud and then the illegal occupation and takeover of a country that belongs to Palestine. So I'm there for the Palestinian people to have their country back, and all those other countries that have been invaded by these bunch of thugs people that we've got here in this time of our time today. It's probably getting caught at the right time before they got away with it. We're not going to settle like what they want to do with the Swiss Indo and just take what they're going to give and then they keep the rest. No, they lose a lot. This court takes the lot of what they've stolen, not just what they say you can have from the trust and they keep the rest. No, they're definitely not. So we have singled out John Key trial. This has been an ongoing trial in Auckland that we've had, that I've taken to England as well, into the Rolls Building Court with the people on Cook Street. So we've got the Cook Street one up in the names in here as well. And those affidavits are for another day. So, but I'm saying particular John Key was a banker that set up the fraud bank here and the time of Cook Street. All the lawyers, the bankers, the judges, the land title people were all caught in the fraud of 61 Cook Street. I caught them all of them out, the whole, including John Key, Panama Papers out. So that's why we've got him here with a picture there, I think, of him. John Key, banker, ex-New Zealand Prime Minister. Police trial, Natalie Flowerdew Brown. She's the one that threw me in prison illegally because she had no warrant or wasn't authorized to arrest me and all that sort of thing. But we can have that for another day. But I want to go ahead with a writ warrant to seize all their property while she's here. Now, they took her out of New Zealand at that time for 2 years in the Solomon Islands on a contract to get her away from me. Now she's here. It's easy pickings to get her in this court and seized a lot with a writ warrant. I used a writ warrant on Cook Street, but the boys, the marshals, didn't know what to do, how to do things, and just yanked them out of the office. That got us thrown, got a police complaint, which got us locked in prison. And they had no evidence. The police had no insufficient evidence to have against me and all the evidence I had. And I checked in with the police station every time I went to that land block, told them I was going to seize the damn thing. And now I can seize the damn thing quite easy. It's just got better now that I've got things online rather than how I had manually before. So now we've got this court hearing tied them up, all the lot of them together. Scott Morrison, Prime Minister of Australia, Justin Trudeau, Prime Minister Canada, President Emmanuel Macron, France, Pope Francis, President of European Union, Ursula von der Leyen, President Sino, ASIT Sugiharto, Swiss Indo World Trust International Orbit Gold and Investments, 100 million trillion cap. That's to cap the whole thing off, under investigation with John Wanoa, Nilu Chaudhry or Nilo Berry, and Mr. Sino to be released from house arrest letter from John Wanoa, that's me, Moai Crown King William IV Trust. Mr. Sino to U.S. Marshal Swiss Indo property payments 1 to 11 from Indonesia to the world estimated $450 trillion in gold and money. We are to recover back into the Moai King William IV Trust account, the Moai Royal Crown Royal Bank, and the Moai Powerhouse Bank, Westminster City, England, Britain, UK. So there, I put a pound note right over the top of all that lot, and but I still got to talk to Nilu Chaudhry about her Queen side of the argument. She still hasn't got a reply back from the Marshal, U.S. Marshal, about distribution of that money to the world. That's what they're waiting for, to distribute all those quadrillions, he says here in the document further down. Quadrillions, that's trillions of dollars the United Nations are going to dish out as a humanity right thing in the United Nations countries registered with them. So that's all stolen money. Those old dirty money in there, I call it dirty money, and the Vatican dirty money, and the British dirty money, and the Moai clean money, and in recovering the land, the debts, and all that back into our own bank. So there, we had to have an unregistered private bank and a private business to make that statement that it's going into that entity when we get financial back in Westminster City, right away from City of London, the Rothschild, City of London government and country, separate from England corporations. So we just go back to being corporate in Westminster City and Parliament, and then put the writ warrant on the whole lot of them, the same way as put a writ warrant on top of the government of New Zealand and so forth. It is the 6th anniversary of default by banks on 17th August 2015 and 76th year of dishonor with debts and an economy which is artificially shrunk by 2-2-2-2-fold, 450 trillion fiat economy versus 1 quadrillion assets. Mr. Sino would like to meet with the New Zealand ambassador at his home in Saigon, which is also the World Office of the United Nations, of which Mr. Sino is the president. He's still the president, but they have housebound him, locked him in house arrest. John Wanoa letter to New Zealand ambassador. I wrote to the New Zealand ambassador in Jakarta, Indonesia, to go and see Mr. Sino under house arrest, to have him released and be the president of the Swiss Indo payments to the world. No response yet from U.S. Marshal. Confederation of Chiefs, Beers Court, Hamilton, New Zealand, 3200. The Embassy of New Zealand in Jakarta, JR Asia, Africa, number 8, Gora, Birig, Kuro, Jakarta, 13th of January 2022. Diplomat Kevin Burnett, he's a New Zealand diplomat. Dear Kevin, as a long-standing Maori leader promoting honour, peace and prosperity for the native royals of New Zealand, I'm inviting the New Zealand ambassador to visit HM His Majesty Mr. Sino at his home in Saigon on the 18th of January 2022 at a mutually convenient time arranged nearer the time by emailing Andy Casman. And there's a letter or something there, video or something. Please see the video of an interview given by Mr. Sino, HM Sino, on the 12th of January 2021. So I supported them for some time with Neil Berry, with letters, emails. But it's because I knew the Swiss Indo belonged to our trust, and she knew as well that somebody has not claimed it yet. No one has claimed it. We should have been claiming it long ago. I think some people in New Zealand claimed it, but they got turned down because they haven't got what we got in facts and documents. And British Crown assets, prize positions, gold, land, sovereign bonds spread through the world. European Central Bank corporate companies list, and another clip there, Andy. British Crown Treasury. These are some of the companies. These are private companies that we're building with that 970 million trillion pound note. There's a lot of money backdated out there. This is the lady, what's her name? Ledgard. Ledgard. She's a big chief. Her photo there in front of you is a debtor. She's a debtor, a contract with me. She's in contract. I'm pulling her into contract tonight with me. as her versus me in what I say as alleging she is a criminal fraudster in a corporate business world. So there, she's leading all those people. Where the EU. So we've got the British Crown Treasury. That's Rothschild in the City of London. British Crown Treasury, New Zealand Crown Treasury, Wellington. The Queen Victoria Trust. That's our trust, 1844. That's gone into the United Nations. All that money in the United Nations come out of this Queen Victoria Trust, and we are still the beneficiaries of it, Andy. We are still the beneficiaries of that big trust. And so that's why I'm inquiring into it, to open it up, the books, and to audit the books and call for settlement of the account and foreclose on the whole lot of it tonight. The Bank of America, Queen Victoria Trust, Vatican City Bank, Pope Francis, the Vatican Certificate Trust, sovereign bonds on the stock market. That's your best certificates. All the value of that added up, all the people in the world that are in there. I don't know how many million people are, but all that money and wealth that over the years, if you multiply it, all the years right back, you go back to King William III, of all that commerce made right up through King George IV to from King George IV to King William IV, right to Queen Victoria, it was going straight until it hit the Rothschild and Queen Victoria. That's when it went to ribbons. And all that wealth, they stole the whole lot of that, those Admiral and Navy, all their hard work, putting all this together and going and alienating all those countries and stole the whole damn lot. So we just get it all back. So we go on to the next picture. The European Bank, Christine Lagarde, the Bank of Canada, the Reserve Bank of New Zealand, BlackRock, the biggest company in the world, BlackRock, CEO Larry Fink, he's on notice tonight. He's in the trillions. Vanguard.
This is the largest company, right?
Yeah, the largest company. Vanguard is the other largest company. Those two companies, their wealth. I'm putting this video affidavit on top of their heads to come up in front of me and pull them into contract with me as being one against one with my information and their information to where they got the authority from. Who? They got it from the Queen. Where did she get it from? She got it from the King. Where did he got it from? He got it from God. So there, you go back to Moai and go back right to the beginning on the land. Vanguard. So Middlemore Hospital and the doctors court writ warrant orders issued today for damages on John Wanoa. That's me. When they drugged me up and put the needle in me in the mental home and took me around the back door, I didn't know I was going there. They didn't arrest me. They just said, oh, we're going to take you for a checkup. So I said, all right. I was tired and filming in the library when they complained about me doing lives on to Britain. And so that's where I ended up for at least 2 years out of sight. And they shut my bank account down, shut the business down, messed up the websites, messed everything up to try and get rid of me. But I'm still here. I'm still carrying on to finish the job that the chiefs at Waitangi are waiting patiently for, to come back there. Don't come back until you've got the goodies. And so this is how long it takes. And inconvenience me. They'll pay for all of that. Andy, you know that. You were with me at the time I was going through those doctors. I want to get their names. I can put their names on the next 3 minutes. I'll put all those doctors there. All the police that got on the road of me doing my business as a registered company here and in Britain, and they tampered with my evidence, tampered with everything, tried to kill me, all the rest of it. But we just carry on and finish the job off, as I went to England for, by the Confederation of Chiefs, Mohi Tamaki Manukau, sent me there to do this, and the chiefs at Waitangi Kingi Taurua, and Wili Peita, and Hoepa Epiha, Manahi Mohini, and Bandi Waitai. Those are just in Sawan Ka, Hedemuni Karaka. So those ones I'm honourable to, to bring back everything I can to get them back on their land and back into their own sovereignty, and as well as everybody in the world. So we've gone where the Queen has gone around the world with that flag, and so it's become bigger than just New Zealand and the chiefs of the northern tribes and Hauraki, but they have the leading title in this whole commercial business of admiralty. That's where it is. When they planted the flag on Kororareka, on the ground there, and put their flag, Navy flag ship on the land, dry land, and then another ship flag on dry land at Waitangi, that cemented their contract. And so there, that's the story about that for another Zoom meeting, another day. I like this Hui's, Andy, because you don't have to feed lots of people who come there just for a feed to the Hui's and listen to the talk, go away and come back with nothing. They just come back to listen and go away and do nothing much. So we go down further. New Zealand police illegal arrest and imprisonment of John Wanoa, that means. Nothing found. They didn't find a scrapping thing on me and let us out with the marshals, the UN marshals here. They got off. They didn't know how they got off, but they got off because my lawyer, Shannon Withers, from Vulcan Chambers, went and looked after them on the day that I was supposed to appear in court. I got no summons to go into court. They just left me out and took the boys in, the people that took Cook Street and got us in trouble. And they let them off. And the boys said to me, "Oh, it's you the trouble. Now you're in trouble. It's you." And so they left the court and me standing there on the day I was supposed to go. And I went to the court to see who was there and blow me down. My lawyer was there looking after them. And my lawyer texted me. I got it on my mobile. Text me to say my court hearing was the next day. And so I'm gonna go in this video here for obstruction of justice or illegally using my paid what you call it, legal fees for those boys and not for me. And I never had a court hearing of my own. And because they kept me out of the court, they didn't want me to go near the court. And so they just let me go and said, "Oh, it's all over." That's all he said. He came out of the courthouse and said to me, "John, it's all over. You don't have to do a thing. You're free." He said to me, "You're free to go." How dare. Right, we've got 356 Lawton Point court order writ warrant, property seizure warrant issued today. That's the Lawton Point I was trying to get at the time, but the trustees got in the way. 400 Lawton Point. This is where I wanted to set up the tidal turbine project in Lawton Point, right there on our ancestral lands. The motel there is a urupa or burial ground of our chiefs, and they just built a motel right on top of the gravesite to block the gravesite out. And I've got issues against that. All those lands along there are urupas right around the East Cape, right to where Te Pito is. Te Pito is where the Moai is supposed to be standing. So it's supposed to be a Moai memorial there to mark that spot. But we can't go and steal a Moai.
What about the point, Lawton Point?
That's in Hicks Bay. Hicks Bay, East Cape. Hicks Bay. 400 Lawton Point Road. Writ warrant. So I've already got writ warrants. I just reissued them again and send Desmond out to go and sort the job out because he knows what to do with the writ warrant. And so from this meeting, all we need to do is go and tell the police, give them this video, give them the writ warrant, and say we're going to seize the property because that's what our intention was way the years back when we were doing this, Andy. So we've got 400 Lawton Point. That's the next door neighbour one. Point Road. They sold the properties after that when they saw my writ warrant coming. They sold, and so the next lot of people who bought the land have to get their money back from the land information and the government and vacate the property. They have to go back and get their money back. That's what I told the first lot of people, that we're taking the land back because they've got no title where they got it from. So a lot of land in New Zealand have got no evidence of who they bought the title of the land. They just transferred it and didn't think anybody would. That was in 1830 when those land blocks right there were transferred without anything, and yet they're supposed to go back to 1840. But there in 1830, they transferred the land outside of the Treaty of Waitangi, 1840 agreement. So that was the argument there. 61 to 77 Cook Street, 99 Wellesley Street, Auckland City writ warrant, property seizure order issued today. So from when I went, that property's worth $5 billion just there. These are properties that we seized, and the equity that's gone into it, all their bank accounts, the whole lot goes back into this trust, the Moai Crown King William Trust for all the people in the world. It goes to those shareholders who join up in Britain and New Zealand and the rest of the world. Here in this, I've got the website. I've got to fix up and put all the buttons to make it work again so that you can register your interest in this to claim your claim, which will come out better than the Swiss Indo and that dirty money. You'll get peanuts out of it by the time you get your money. Here you'll get 100% and not less than 1% treaty claim for what they say you lost. We haven't lost nothing. Nobody's lost nothing because the land is still there and it's only leased. They've got to give it back when the lease runs out. That's every land in the world under this King's Admiralty. They've got to go back when they finish raping raping the land and the people. So we've gone down to Marangaro D47 Haha Trust Land Block, writ warrant, property seizure order issued today. That's where the Moai Te Pito title, The Birth of New Zealand, and Te Pito, The Birth of the World at Easter Island. That's the navel, they call the navel. So there's the two birthplaces on that title that you showed with the four corners of the earth and the sun in three places at the same time and midnight at the same time. So that's one point right there. That land block, Haha land block, we're seizing back the land because it belongs to Moai Memorial. That's got to go up there to mark that God spot on our God, the God, the good God. New Zealand Police damages writ warrant issued today for personal loss, harm, injury, costs orders issued today. So this is just, and then the enforced orders comes later on with all the list of enforcements, and there's one of them as well. But I'm just putting them on notice here, then enforcing this at one shot, one-stop shop. Writ warrants issued for damage against police detectives Natalie Flower-Brown, Aaron Pascoe, Tim Duffy, Philip Taylor, your mate Andy, Philip Taylor, and other police to name yet. Writ warrant order issued against my lawyer Shannon Withers of Vulcan Chambers, Auckland Central. Writ warrant issued against Dave O'Shaughnessy, Auckland District Court Crown Agent. That's when I told him to stop using my birth certificate for taking money out for the court fees, and they stopped taking money out of my trust account. But I caught him out. I caught him doing it. I caught him taking my benefit money out of money out of my benefit trust, the Queen Victoria Trust, and paying themselves in the court fees with it. So that's that one, the birth certificate one right there. I'll show you one day in another Zoom meeting. Here. Writ warrant against the investigate Pohara Marae, native land title and to Paramount Chief Te Waikato Wharehere Manukau, native customary land title transferred to King George IV, Crown over New Zealand country, one title, and Memorial Rock on Maungatautari, SA 6J Section 3 Pohara Station and trustees named here. So I've got to add that in the next agenda of the names of those trustees on the Pohara Marae, where that's the title to New Zealand, that Memorial Rock there to that Manukau chief. That's in Edinburgh Magistrate Court in the land records there. So that's why I've got to go there and pull them out. And then that's the end of them. So all the titles in New Zealand are subject to that one title. We also got the same at Waitangi. I didn't put that one in yet. The old Waitangi Paihia block is in the Ututonga title. I'm holding on to that here. I'll pull it out one day and go through it with Alfred, because he whakapapas into the Ututonga family. And so he can go up there and sort that lot out. And I've been trying to tell them for years. I got that from Hare Ututonga. At the time, the Williams family put that together at the first titles in Waitangi. And so it had one house on the whole of the Bay of Islands, the one house title that I'm holding on to for him and his family. So I'm privy to his, I was his, what do you call it? Attorney, power of attorney. And I was on the Titi Marae committee on his behalf at the time. I just about got my head knocked off by that Araroa fella, what that fella, Tui, whatever his name is, knocked me out, and the old lady stopped him because I was talking about the Celtics and station and the Countdown supermarket, the land they took. They had no authority to sell the land, and I'm holding those titles right here of that whole land block that they took illegally and sold. The trustees did that. So I'm still got a bone to pick with them for Hare and the Ututonga family. I've got all the Ututonga family names that I can contact already. I found them, so I'm just waiting for them to message me back, so I can talk to them directly and have a hui with them online to sort their titles out. And their marae is in the wrong, all those marae is in the wrong taumata on the marae. Should be those Ututongas and Takimonas and so forth that I know that are on the original titles. Right, we'll move on. Order against King Tuhatia of Tainui Iwi Maori Trust to produce his land title at Maungatotri Mountain and Pohara Marae Memorial Land title to New Zealand country. So he has to, I'll put him on notice tonight. He's in England at the moment, talking about his possibility that the Crown there and the Rothschilds and the Queen, a dead Queen, she's got a double working there now, would authorize him to be the King of New Zealand or something like that. So I'm putting this right up in his face to put him on notice tonight in this court hearing, him on this court to appear online in 21 days to refute the Manukau title to Maungatotri that they're usurping for their title and all the lands underneath his feet. If he's wrong, I'll pull the land underneath his feet with the certificate, and then he's got nothing to say about that, because his family, the Mahutas, the Nanaya Mahutas, I'll put some more clips on there on my site, Facebook site, of her and her own private business is a conflict of interest. Everything they're doing is a conflict of interest against the public of New Zealand. They are only looking after their own private corporations and the Three Waters. I've got the Three Waters in here tonight.
And they signed off in 1995.
Yeah. And I've got the Three Waters that they've got on the writ warrant and the orders tonight. They're to enforce tonight later on, because that's why this is a long hui court hearing, to pull them into contract right now before it's too late. So that's King Tuhatia is not the King of Ngāpuhi, never was, tried to. And Ngāpuhi has a lot to say about that.
He's not the King of Waikato.
And so there, Alfred's saying something about him in the Waikera region. So Alfred has to do the native titles here and follow up behind that King George title with Te Waikato and Pohara Marae. I've got the titles, I got them out, the latest ones on the trustees there. So I'll put all their names on the next agenda and put them on trial too with King Tuhatia.
So King Tuhatia is a separate whakapapa to
Yeah, so
Waikato Taidea.
Yeah.
That's the main one, eh? Waikato Taidea.
yeah, so I'm just saying these will tidy up in the normal incorporations. The Maori incorporations will have to strike the name Maori off their incorporations and go under the Moai incorporations. Same business, same Westminster Parliament, Te Ture Whenua Act, and so it'll go above the Crown in Wellington government's Te Ture Whenua Act use and abuse. So now they'll have more power with this document, and I was hoping that Roger Rabbits was going to be here today and tonight, but he must have had a change of heart, or I'm hoping he's on watching the video tonight, or either on the panel tonight, because he has the bonds of Swishindo information to talk about. But I'm open. I tell everything. I don't hide anything away. So he was going to talk with me about that, and he's got a court hearing coming up in Wellington very soon, and he wanted to see me before he went to court. But I'm still waiting for him tonight to come on. I gave him the code to get in. If later on the first half, if he's there, he can come and talk and say something about the Swishindo. So we're getting into the commercial part, which he's good at. And I'm in support of what he's doing in either jurisdiction, but I want him to talk himself, just same as I let that other guy, Hilton, have a talk about his Maori government, but they're on notice as well from this organisation that's worldwide, not just here. So there, we're going to more places. Right, we move on. Charges against. These are charges against. We see it in capital letters. It's just means just a statement from the law itself. All named photograph criminals are alleged bank fraudsters and fraud corporations. When your name is called out on this Zoom meeting hearing, you are on record video evidence affidavit as a default judgment debtor, exposed and witnessed by people here on Zoom and all over the world watching you respond back and come on camera Zoom from your mobile phone or laptop, or defend yourself from the Confederation of Chiefs, Admiral and Maritime Law King's orders to recover debts owed by you. These orders becomes a writ of execution warrant to arrest you and seize all your wealth, gold, property, land, investments as King William III and King William IV prized possessions. That's the name of this business. Prized possessions seized back into the Crown, my Crown, King William IV Trust, or simply my Crown, as judgment creditor for the natural born sovereign people, New Zealand and the world of freedom. You are guilty and not likely to prove innocent, must respond within 21 days of these orders issued to the contracted British Royal Navy and British military and any other contracted military like Britain, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa military. US military help us recover the debts and seize property, prized possessions of the King from 6 p.m. Thursday today, May the 22nd, 26th of May 2022 to 4 p.m. the 24th of June 2022. After this time has passed, becomes the Moai Crown, my Republic Government of New Zealand, my Royal King William III, King William IV Acts of Westminster Parliament Law, Motu Propria, Criminal Code, Criminal Procedure Code 2013. So those acts we enforce tonight on top of these criminals as a republic. We are calling ourselves a republic government with Britain in partnership with the Navy, the British Royal Navy partnership. As such, I was hoping that Dion Walker, Deha, would be on tonight to have a little speak here on that video that he was talking, a short clip with the Navy officer that declared that he was obligated, the Navy's obligated to the flag and the Confederation for that matter. King William, they know that. The Navy do know that. And it's a statement, it's an affidavit, a strong affidavit to the rest of the world and Britain, especially America, that we are the Admiral. We are the Admiral, not the Vice Admiral, second hand. We are the Admiral here acting tonight. My crown debtors of criminals listed above. So that applies to all those people I've named and Andy named. The total amount of the combined charges have been set at £1 single pound note of legitimate King Ernest Augustus V. So I've got a pound note with him, his picture there, and 970 million trillion pound note. So there, that's all the Admiral and all that commerce right back to King William III, 1689. Right back, all the way through the years. If you add it up, you won't be far off the figure I've just come out with. And with the figures from Swiss Indo and OPPTS. That's another organization for another day. So there's another picture there. Debts owed and due. The debt of 970 million trillion pound note, my pound note debt recovery instrument is due now, backed by and valued by the missing gold and the valuable treasure collected through the use of Admiralty of the Fleet Magistrate Court documents. There's the pound note there that Jamie and I designed. The gold one you see on the left, that's the Moai gold. That's missing. So God's earth, that's God's earth, that dragon on the left, that against their dragons. So there, the red dragon and all the rest of them dragons, you're up against that gold dragon of God's gold, God's earth minerals from his planet Earth. And that's the Hanover, King William IV, Hanover, Britain Hanover, monarch, coat of arms there. And you notice that King Ernest Augustus V, or Prince Ernest Augustus V, got an 8-point star on his front, claiming that, and this title to the throne. We're putting him, making an order, and later on enforced order to put him on the throne, and the empty throne there before Charlie decides to illegally jump on the throne, with the Queen not being there in her robes to hand the title to her heir. She's not there anymore and won't be likely to be. So we move on to the legitimate heirs to the throne, first party, in a two-party contract from King William IV, 1834-1835, flag trade, legal partnership, continuity of crown sovereignty, that's the big crown, sovereignty, extant forevermore. That means the king's crown is extant forevermore, and it defaults back to him. I make this order tonight that we order King Ernest Augustus V onto the throne, the empty throne that's been vacated or abandoned by Queen Elizabeth II. She's abandoned the throne and the wealth of that crown, or whatever's left after she's robbed the whole lot, and put it in Frankfurt. I've got details of her transferred it when she said she'll find another parliament somewhere else. And the time that President Trump was there and signing some deals with her, that was the time that she said she has another parliament, and it was Frankfurt. And the wealth of that robbed all that wealth in that big crown on her head is gone into Frankfurt, Germany Bank. So there, I'm just telling you right now, I've done my research on that lot. And I'll come out with another Zoom hearing on that just alone, where that wealth is gone. You got the Swiss Indo gone the other way. You got the Queen in the UN. You got the Queen Victoria Trust gone the other way into the United Nations. All that wealth there. they're going to dish out to everybody they think should have it and shouldn't have it. And then you got the other wealth gone the other way to the Pope. This is all Admiralty, from the ship that's gone from the sea right onto the land, and then the way they went with it, their certificates of title. So there, so you got that wealth from the Queen that's robbed it and put the trust, the treasury in England, and there's some more articles from people in Britain who have been tracking that all along, the missing money from the treasury, that's gone into somewhere else. But I tracked it down into Frankfurt. So there, that's that one. Legitimate use and throne, first party. So King Ernest Augustus V is the first party in this contract, in a two-party contract with King William IV, 1834 35 flag trade partnership. That's the chiefs, the first 13 chiefs that got the letter to King William IV. That's a contract. I'm binding this to the Crown of England and to our Crown, the Maori Crown. Bind it tonight. That contract, private contract, with the chiefs, the 13 chiefs, first party, the 35 chiefs after in 1835, the second party. So they've come in that order, and then the rest towards that signed up towards the 1840 treaty. That's the third party in the two-party contract. They're not two-party contract. Only the first one with the letter. The letter, the one that gave the sovereignty, not the 1835. It's just a declaration. That's all it is. It doesn't have value in it. It's just a declaration. New Zealand default contract court cases. Right, these are default. That means we had court cases about it, and because he didn't turn up, this is a default case. We can go him straight away and go and get the military after him straight away. There's some more money there to put in the bank. So there, the more you put someone in the court, the more your bank will rise up, and from their assets. If you got it right, he can go me. If all these people are accused tonight can go me. They can sue me. Well, I've got nothing anyway, but they can sue me, and with what I'm saying, and but they got to prove it. They got to prove that I'm wrong. Ex-Prime Minister Helen Clark, government and Parliament, 121 members, charged 1 trillion each head, and Governor Generals through the years backdated to Queen Victoria, 1837, 1 trillion each. So that £1 trillion note right there is over their heads, over each crown agent's head. That's the value of that, to recover from that crown all its wealth. We'll just bleed them dry with these pound notes, and they are there as instruments of value. We put the value in those people and their assets. That's where the value. At the moment, that pound note is equal in value to the British pound note, which is going down and down and down. We go up and up and up, not down and down. So that's another one there. Those original Tawhio, King Tawhio pound note. I should have his. Yeah, that's him there. He had his own bank in New Zealand, but the BNZ put him out of business because he did have a printing machine, but I think it was too late for him to get. He didn't have the means of exploiting and promoting his pound note. So it's still there for us to use. That's why we use it. We have the legal right, lawful right to use his pound note and bank, and we just use our own title. There's his photo of King Tawhio. That King Tuheitia from here has gone to England to celebrate King Tawhio in some sort of ceremony, and so they're after the money. That's what they are. They're after the money, with the Britain, and as if they're the king here, and he's not. He doesn't have commercial papers. He has no experience in financial matters when it comes to land transactions. We can't even prove the land came from his ancestor. No, he has to come up and put that in front of me on a Zoom. Put it, and I'll drop mine in front of him. Right? So there, that tidies that up. That's a real pound note. This is not all humbug made up. These are real instruments that we are the legal right to enforce and authorize to use as instruments. That's an original £1 note, and that was in 1888 and was legal tender. So now our Moai pound note tonight is legal tender, the same as that note, but only we have British Crown value of their pound note against our pound note for now, until we break off. Once we get some money in the bank, up goes our value, and it goes and pulls the value of the British pound up in equal, or leave them behind. We can leave them while they're Rothschild, so we leave them behind. That's it. That's a ruling order. We leave them behind and take off on our own. So there, that's the end of that lot with their pound note. That's got 1 bar on their pound note. We've got a 2-bar Patterson patented pound note with 2 bars. That's an original pound note that we have more legitimacy, not fiat, fake money, thin air money, pound note and US dollar. That's why they set it up. They set up the US dollar and the pound note to scarf everybody in the world with taking over countries and forcing them to use their pound note. We don't have to force anybody to use this pound note. We're no threat to that government. It's the documents that have the threat on them, not me. I'm just doing this, letting you all know so that you're owners of it and not me on my own. So there, as long as you know everything I know, then you have a right to claim everything I say. Outright, anybody in the world that's in the same problem as we are, in the same boat. So there, we go down to pass to the British pound note, the same value as the New Zealand pound note. That's currently at the moment. Because people ask me, how much is it worth? I'm just saying, making a statement there right now, that it was on a par with the British pound note at that time, 1888 onwards, till about 1932, when it was discontinued of this pound note. So there, we're back to square one again with it. Judgment. The word judgment in state is a legal term. Judgment. 61 Cook Street, 77 Cook Street, 98 Wellesley Street, Auckland City orders from this court to seize the property with this original writ of execution, property seizure and arrest warrant, and recover the debts against the owners, Simon Brent Roundtree and James Pierce Brown, 5 billion, and 40 people who got in my road seizing the property. And I warned you all that I would drop a £1 trillion note in debt instrument on your head. So that's 42 trillion debt you and the New Zealand Crown now owes Ngā Atua e Wā Aotea Limited, a company, by this court order today with this writ warrant to seize all your business, investments and properties. So there, I'm making that statement tonight so we can go again with the same original writ warrant and seize all those properties, 5 billion worth of properties, plus the extra for getting in my road. I can say anything I like because I warned them that I would do this with the pound note. At the time, I had the pound notes floating around online. So there, Moai Crown order enforced today by default contract. That's the term, default contract. When they don't say anything, it becomes a default contract on the 26th of May, 2022. And so now we can go straight ahead with that. And there's not much effort. I just need to go to the police station with this original warrant and tell them to stay out of my road. And this time, don't get in the road. Don't do anything when I go and take it. And I'll go and see the owners again and remove them from their office legally. These orders are now issued from this court for each of you 41 people on 61 Cook Street, Auckland City, Central City, who got in my business of seizing this land and helping to have me jailed illegally, now must pay by tampering with the corporate business contract with James Pierce Brown and Simon Brent Roundtree proprietors of 61 Cook Street. There, so there, I'm allowed to do this because it's normal business go someone who can't prove the title to the land. They haven't got the original title where they got the land from. Neither has the Auckland City Council. They can't say where they got it from because I've already been down that track and did a thorough investigation with Mohi Timati Manukau, the paramount chief, who gave me the authority to go and do what I did. He wanted that land back. He wanted the church land, Methodist church land back, opposite the Altair Centre. And what they did, they built apartments took the church away and built apartments and sold the land. So I'm after that as well, the whole damn thing. And because he wanted, and Cornwall Park on One Tree Hill, where Mohi wanted the Maori government set up and the Confederation, especially the Confederation set up in Cornwall Park. I did all the plans up for that. I did all the plans up for Cook Street. And so that's a big project to do and do one hit. I won't be sitting around. I would be going straight back into real estate, property developments, which is what I've been through all that in Remuera as a real estate salesman at the time of Leila MacDonald was selling properties left, right, and centre. And Christine Fletcher was the candidate for Auckland, for West Epsom. I was up against her as a candidate for New Zealand First, and Gavin Logan was the other candidate that took with me and New Zealand First and Winston Peters. I was in his party as a candidate. I would have been in his party today, or right then, if I had dropped the real estate business off. But I wanted to stay there because Mohi Manukau wanted me to stay and do the land titles and also his treaty claims. So there, that's the end of that. So 6 p.m. New Zealand time. Oh, that's the agenda. Zoom meetings. I'm just about halfway, and I'll stop for a break and let people have a bit of a discussion about it before I move on. And if you have time, Andy, I can move on to finish it off, or you want to leave it for tomorrow if it's gone too long. But I wanted to try and get through the whole thing. Zoom meetings, 26th of May 2022. To anyone who wants to join the Zoom meeting, message me if you wish to speak or listen as a witness or jury. We're calling this a jury at the same time because we want feedback from people on the Zoom, and any feedback in messages to Andy or myself. And so not many questions. I really want questions really all the time so that they get clear of what the whole idea was about. July to the hearing, actions and enforcement of King's Superior Admiralty of the Fleet Law over the sea and land, sky, subsea boundaries, covering the globe, claims into the Natives Magistrate King's Bench courts throughout 250 countries, linked back to Westminster Magistrate Court, Westminster City, and Westminster Parliament, Upper House, House of Lords of Moai Crown King Bench Bank Office in Westminster City of England. So that's where I eventually want to end up there with our bench, with our bank office right there set up, right away from the City of London. Rules of the meeting, all our Zoom meetings, I just must say, you must observe the rules of the Zoom Hui meetings, which you must read here and understand first before you as I will control what's to be spoken to on the agenda only to save time and take enforcement action immediately. I will open the discussion on any other matters outside the rules will be relaxed when I open the floor, like afterwards. If time to, and the minutes update. So sometime soon when I sort out the minutes, I'll show you how it comes out on this computer generated. That's right to the point. We invite elders, and I'll just warn people that what you say goes straight onto the record, so you can say what you like when the floor is open. I don't care what you say, but as long as it's something meaningful in understanding your side and our side. We invite elders and descendants from Ngāpui, Tiki, Marae, Northern regions, Marae to Hauraki, Hapu, Marae of the flag signing commercial contract, continuing business update to Friday the 20th of May 2022, the last one, to all Hapu leaders throughout New Zealand and anyone naturally born in New Zealand to participate on these worldwide 250 countries online Zoom Hui Native King's Bench Magistrate Court video hearings as their natives claims to these legal unrefuted affidavits with transcribed minutes of the video into readable text. You must stand outside the New Zealand Crown Corporation government system and courts while the Native Magistrate King's Bench Court is in session, like now, or risk having a pound note, dead instruments dropped on your head. You must stand outside iwi trustees and Maori organisations, Maori government and political links to New Zealand government, Crown Corporation and Queen Elizabeth II, Queen Victoria fraudsters. I call them fraudsters association, in association with Queen Victoria and Queen Elizabeth II fraudsters, Rothschild fraudsters. So you're associated, linked to them. Step into the, you must, or I'm saying, step into the British Crown Corporation system under King William III, King George IV, King William IV, world living and operating businesses under the British Crown system of laws from King James I and 7th, 68, abandoned the throne in 68 by the Glorious Revolution in 69 of King William III of Orange and start the indigenous native alienation, land alienation and seizure of Admiral of the fleet, legal title instruments and land title transfer, sales and purchase to the British Crown under commercial contracts over Northern Ireland, 1689 on to 1823, King George IV and Paramount Chief Te Rawaikato Wharehere Manukau of Pohara Marae, Maungatautari Mountain, Cambridge, commercial contract land sale of New Zealand country to King George IV in 1823 on to 20 of March 1834, King William IV commercial contract with 13 native chiefs, letter second party claim of right to the instrument on to 28th of October 1835, King William IV and 35 chiefs at Kororareka, Russell Bay of Islands, third party, right to the instrument, that's right, legal right to the instrument, to everyone else, fourth party, right to the instrument, to the first party, King William IV Crown legal ownership extended to today, witnessed by the attendance in the Hui meeting hearing Friday 20th of May 2022 and beyond, and join us to Manahi Mohini, Justice of the Peace, Wirimu Peita, Elder, Chief Wirimu Hehe, Elder, Chief Hohepa Epiham, Elder, Chief Papa Hehe, Bandi Waitai, and others, Chief Bandi Waitai, and others who signed court documents of the Confederation of Chiefs, Northern Region 13 chiefs signed a letter to King William IV on 20th of March 1834 as second party contract. Anyone after that is third party. The meeting is for Ngāpuhi and Hauraki leaders, chiefs of Tiki Marae, Taumata, about Alfred Mitchell and me, John Wanoa, appointed as Hapu Confederation of Chiefs by Paramount Chief Mohi Tamati Manukau IV, going to Westminster Magistrate Court to confirm legally our Chiefs of Tribes 1835 Declaration of Independence flag and unbroken commercial contract inside Westminster Parliament and Westminster Magistrate Court and Edinburgh Magistrate Court in 2022. That's this year. We must do this to use the flag for its Admiralty authority jurisdiction on the land right now. We've got the authority right now to use it for its purpose. Transfer documents to my King William IV, the seals we use, and the Constitution, free passage in the Constitution, the 1835 Constitution in the flag, the jurisdiction in the flag, and free passage through the world, over the sea, the sub-sea, under the sea, and the atmosphere up in the sky, as it was given by King William IV for commercial trade, banking, and self-federal rule of law government, as the legitimate Hapu native founding flag doctrines of discovery, exclusive title over New Zealand and Pacific Islands, foreshore seabed islands of Mu, that's the subsea in the Pacific, the island under the sea that'll come out of the sea soon, one day soon, into a new country that belongs here. As we are already to use it, enforce it into King William III and King William IV Westminster Parliament Acts today. We're putting these acts towards the Westminster Parliament, and we'll be set up in Westminster to use and enforce these extra acts put into the Parliament to enhance their side of the contract with us in their acts, the new acts today under the King. On Friday, the 26th of May, 22nd and beyond, to the benefit of our commercial trading bank business and the use of our flag with the New Zealand registered company called Ngā Atua e Wā Aotea Limited as the national hapu and king's peoples of New Zealand and Pacific Islands, Te Moana Nui a Kiwa, and submerged land island of Mu, and we the king's common law people of the world, New Zealand co-government, Maui Crown Corporation, to take to Westminster with a delegation of 6 people from New Zealand, representing the Confederation of Chiefs and New Zealand country and its sovereign peoples. Just about to the end of this. We will now allow talk on Queen Elizabeth II and Queen Victoria and their subjects as judgment debtor defendants in our Maui Crown King William Bench Court, Maui Crown King's Bench Magistrate Court. This is about kings only and conflicts our declaration of the independent sovereign nation jurisdiction flag ruling authority from now on. We invite all races of people registered and born in New Zealand as native to join. Those who are not naturally born need to be adopted by the hapu and by British Crown principles. We may limit the hui amount meeting to 50 to 100 as Andrew can handle, but you must message me if you can't get in so we can fit you in as a speaker, but we have the priority for people talking about the agenda or amendments to it in the minutes to speak first. Then I am opening the panel up for discussion and question response. Please be warned that under our own My UK Government Printing Press watermark paper documents and King William IV Maui Crown seals and patents are Maui Crown legal property today onwards. Be warned that anyone using documents on their own and adopting the ideas and copying of literature, pictures and seals, flags from our documents and flags for their own personal use of material learned from our efforts of Confederation of Chiefs purpose for all people and not for one tribe own legal interests, risk going to court here in New Zealand, to Britain, UK, or in 250 countries, getting a writ warrant, Maui Crown pound note, dead instrument on their head from all the native people in the world who are beneficiaries of the Maui King William IV Trust. And that's where all the money's going and the gold. And security recovered. And security enforcement, audit of accounts, and settlement of the Queen Victoria Trust, credited back to the my King William IV Trust. And we, the people, people, I've got to fix that up, now replace Queen Elizabeth II as head of trust with myself in her place, and replace Prince Andrew and Queen Sophia, trustees from our trust, agreed in this court hearing today after discussions about this. Now, the floor is open for a little discussion while I have a little rest and a little cup of tea while you have a carry on talking for a bit. Andrew?
Okay, John.
Yeah, I'll just have a little break. I won't be a sec. I'll be back in a minute.
Okay, John. So,
Give me 5 minutes.
no problems.
The floor is open.
Yes, okay.
And anything. Talk about anything for now until we have the second half. I'll discuss that after.
Okay, John. I'll just stop the sharing the screen. Put it on gallery to use it. Is there anybody that would like to have a word? Very interesting so far. Painting a very clear picture of what's gone down. I'm hoping that people can see it. It's a big picture to see.
Yeah, it's really good.
It is. Don't know who will be the trustees. At the end of the day, they're there for the people regardless. They're being now held under the fiduciary duties. And people understand what Swiss Hindu is doing as well, which was to give back the wealth to the people. We're meant to be living in abundance. So there was never need for poverty if the Swiss Hindu went through. So again, similar, the same thing, just down to who's, I mean, it's understanding, isn't it? It's the people understanding what's being actually stated here.
I think this has a good chance of succeeding this time as well.
It's clearer now. Now John's put it in the format he has this time.
Yeah.
Clearer.
It's very long-winded to go through, but I think it'll be worth it in the end.
Yeah. For those that you know are serious enough to listen, yeah. I mean, for the majority of folks, because of what's been done to us all, the attention span wouldn't bear with it because they're not understanding a lot of actually what's gone on. You know? That's what I say about people that speak about. At the end of the day, we have to go back. We have to come from a factual base. We have to come from a factual base to where if this was, because I mean I've always said, I mean what was created was beautiful, but it was just that it was taken over in the wrong hands. Because at the end of the day, there is no need for it, you know. And
Yeah, I just opened the floor up.
you're paid for your existences here. I'll just mute John out for a sec.
I can't find it.
Oh,
You can talk about it with Andy.
John,
Yeah. No, what
just do you want to mute out while you talk? John, can you hear us? Say, because you're not muted out like you're talking.
No, yeah.
Okay, you've muted out now. It's okay. Yeah, so John's come back now, has he? You're muted, John. I think he's having a cup of tea.
Bless him.
Yes, it's going to be interesting to see when this is filed in. I mean, again, they're going to ignore it as long as the people won't allow this to be ignored. I mean, one thing I always say is you want to know the truth, don't you? You should want to know the truth. Everyone should want to know the truth.
Yes, they should.
You know, and this is where the people need to get behind it, regardless whether you think or whatever you think. This should be got behind and blasted everywhere until they're forced to give an answer. Stop.
I've put the live stream on the laptop.
Yeah, it's out live now as well. But there's no comment coming out. I don't think anybody's commenting anymore. The comments have stopped. I don't know whether people are not commenting or whether it's Facebook's blocking the comments, but there's no more comments coming up.
Oh, I refreshed the page.
It's still showing it's live. They've
Yeah,
not done that. They've not
4
done.
minutes ago.
Yeah, it's still saying it's gone live. They normally cut it off. Normally say that this live stream's finished, but Facebook still allowing this one to go out, even though it still carries on regardless. But Facebook is still allowing this to go out. And that's the thing, isn't it? Sowing the seed. It's out there. It's been said again. John's followed it all the way through. You know, John's been watching what's been going on all these years. And you can see by all of his documents, you can see how he's caught them out, stopped them from being able to say that they could do it. There was no one. See, you can't say you wasn't told. They was told to stop. They was told that they didn't have the authority, and they was challenged to provide that all the way through by John. And they've never once challenged him. All of his affidavits never been refuted or rebutted. And as everybody should know, that an unrebutted affidavit stands as true in commerce. And this is what it's all about. So
Fact in commerce.
It's a fact in commerce, yeah.
Yeah.
So this, regardless, we know commerce, it's all about commerce. So regardless, if you understand it's all about commerce and you understand that an unrebutted affidavit is a fact in commerce, and we're here after facts, not fiction. We only want what's factual, not what's fictional. The world of fiction and the world of assumption and presumptions is what we're living in. We're here challenging those assumptions and presumptions, and John's clearly challenged it all the way and has been ignored all the way. So therefore, what he's saying, according to the affidavit format, means it is a fact in commerce.
Yeah.
Yeah. Logic dictates. So, would anyone like to add anything before John comes back on?
Yeah, I'd just like to thank John for everything, and you, David, for everything that you're doing.
Thank you, mate. Yeah. It's most. To be truthful, I mean, I've only been short-winded at this, but John's been at this for years, and to be truthful, to see what he's had to put up with and go through, and on multiple reasons, because the truth is one of the most difficult things to ever put out there, because anyone who's putting the truth out is going to get attacked, not just by those that don't want that truth out, those that can't accept it, they can't understand it.
Yeah.
They find it too hard to believe. So, you know what I mean? I've only had a little bit of abuse in considering what John's gone through. So for sure, you know what I mean? And not only that, he's also had the pleasure of the vileness of how low they'll stoop with mental health frauds. And
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know all about that.
Yeah. And that's what they're using on everybody. And they entrapped John, you know, by a policeman, Brett, I forget what his name was. Funny enough, I do believe that he was the guy that took over Philip Taylor, who was the one that John had also put on the vest. He did a runner. And then Brett Shields, I think it was Brett Shields, he'd been taking over the position of his, I believe. And therefore, to do that, he had to entice and trick John into the hospital. And he did that by saying that, John, you're not looking too good. Let's have your heart checked out. And instead of going through the front door of the hospital, they took him in the back door of a mental health ward and did a mental health fraud on him. Now, how can he be grand delusional when all of his affidavits are unrebutted? So who's grand delusional? Surely it would have been very easy to rebut the affidavits if it was illusion.
Exactly.
It's and how can a psychiatrist have the intelligence to understand what John's talking about when John had all the documents there to prove and substantiate everything he had claimed? So he wasn't just saying things, he was providing the physical and material substance of those claims. And a psychiatrist who has no knowledge of it whatsoever, to be truthful, what was he? Well, we know what that psychiatrist was. And he will have to answer to what he's done one day, regardless.
The rogue.
Yeah, the same as the one that's doing it right now to John Patterson. And the same one that's doing to Melanie Shaw and Carol Woods and so on and so forth. You know, all of these people will have to answer one day, regardless to their own conscience. So I think John's wet his lips up, ready to go again now.
Could I hear something from Alfred Mitchell? What's his role? I'd like to hear more about his role too.
Alfred, yeah, John, you muted, John. You muted, John. You muted, John.
Is he still there?
Yeah. John, you muted.
Reading.
Yeah. Alfred can talk when he's ready now, and
Right,
the question's been asked.
I'll just
I'm going to make me another cup of tea.
I'll be a second. I
Okay.
just gotta.
Oh, he wants to respond because he's got a lot to say, and I just needed him to answer your question, and he wants to go and get something, but he'll be back in a minute. But what's your question again? I'll see if I can answer it.
Oh,
Okay.
Go ahead, Kate.
Gotta.
Yep.
Oh,
Okay.
Kate.
Kate,
I just-
Kate. Yeah, Kate.
you can talk.
but I just want to know a bit more about your role.
Oh, I've been with the Waka-meaning Confederation of Chiefs for 27 years. Hold the portfolio of Attorney General, Minister for Justice, and Minister for Security and Defence. So yeah, I've been on this kaupapa ever since John been with the yeah. So basically I've been on the kaupapa, yeah, for actually 50 years. 1972 was when I really was started. In 1972, that's 50 years ago.
Oh my God. That's a while.
Yeah, no, I've been on, yeah. I've been on before they had the 1975 land march, and yeah, I've had a lot of differences with our people. You know, like so is John Wanoa as well. You know, especially with our people going under the Queen's Court. I don't want to do it. As insofar as the I consider that.
One second, Alfred. Alfred, 1 second, just because I don't know whether it's being messed with or it's whether a weak signal or not, but it's very poor quality. You're breaking up very bad. We'll just try it again now. Just see if it's clearer now. Carry on. If you want to go back, can you just go back a little bit, because we couldn't really hear that. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Speak again now. See what it sounds like now.
Yeah. Well, basically, Kate, I've rebutted all the case laws against Māoridom, against Crown. I'm the only one of our people that's ever done it. And
Wow.
so yeah. I'm very staunch to the kaupapa and all this and that, very staunch. And I've taken them on the court, so especially over the years. And I know how to handle those court, the judges and all this and that. I've even had to remove from the court. And I removed them under vulnerability and misbehaviour. Section 12 of the Te Māori Act 1993. I've had a judge removed. So I'm not scared to take those judges on. Anything they say, they make a claim, I always challenge them because, you know, where the judges get our people is they make opinions. They make statements and opinions. Well, I don't accept that. I request for the proof, evidential proof of claim. You know, because when judges make a ruling and all this and all that, you know, unless it's backed up with case law or that, it's just the opinion. And our people need to be a bit stronger in their court and not tolerate that at all, because people got to understand that the courts all around the world
Just one second again.
International maritime conflict in place.
1 second again.
A foreign entity. Okay.
Alfred, 1 second. 1 second again. It's happening again. I don't think they like what you're saying. Seriously, they're tampering with your voice. It's breaking up. They're breaking it up. Like.
Can you hear now?
We'll go again now. Yeah, it's fine at the moment.
I can talk.
Yeah, try. You see, it's clear at the moment. It's just when you start talking, it starts breaking it again. It's like an interference. Like, right now, as you're speaking now, it's clear. So continue, please. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so what people need to comprehend is this: that it's about everything's about jurisdiction. Now, I wrote to Andrew Little 3 times straight after the Christchurch shooting because I knew what was happening. I knew even due to my research that this whole thing, the COVID thing, was coming. You know, and the thing is that what's going on right now, I can't remember the movie, but I saw this movie about 40 years ago. The 5G towers and everything, and what's playing out, it's like I knew it was happening. So over the Christchurch shooting here, and what happened, that was on the 15th of March 2019. That was a false flag to bring in the removal of the. And I knew once they were trying to outlaw guns in the country, I knew what was coming, because in 1958, you need to understand that there was actually a secret meeting with judges, judges in America.
And is they're doing it? They've started. They've started again. It's doing it again. John, do you want to? Oh, I'm thinking as if you just drop out and come back in again. You want to just drop out and come back in again and see if that clears up.
Okay.
They're messing with your feed terribly.
Okay. I'll move a minute.
Does everybody else hear the same as what I'm hearing? By the way, does everybody else hear
Yeah.
it? You can clearly, you can clearly see what they're doing.
So we can all talk to each other and hear each other clearly, but we can't hear John. And
and his pitch is not breaking up or anything, so it's nothing to do with the end. It was every time it was clear to speak until he started speaking, and then they started attacking it.
Yeah.
It's all good news. If they didn't, if it wasn't important, they wouldn't be doing that, would they?
And we know all about that, don't we?
For sure.
Indeed. Well, still live on Facebook at the moment. But I can't see anyone. There's no comments coming up, so I don't know if everyone stopped. Can someone just put a thumb, like, you know, just a comment on the just see if I can see the comments.
Are you live on your page, Andrew? On your page, I'll go and comment on it.
The last comment I can see is the one where I put on real history. That's the last one. What's it?
go. Let's get that up. Here we are. I'll put a comment on now.
No, can't see. Yeah, so it's just they're stopping me from seeing what people are commenting. It's the usual thing. Mind you, they normally leave it. I can even normally it says it's locked down. They've shut the picture down. So they said
It's come up. It's come up as my message is sent. I've just put Andrew.
yeah, I can't see it. I'll show you what I can see. To show you what I can see. There's the last comment. No more comments.
Have you got my comment, Andrew?
No, I just showed that it doesn't show up. No,
Right. Well, I just wrote Andrew, but it's shown up on my screen as it's on the live, but
yeah, it's okay. It's just how Facebook works. I mean, like I say, normally they put like they say that the live stream's ended, but then I can still see people commenting saying it's still alive, it's still going. But now they've left it going and stopped the comments, stopped me from seeing the comments. They love the little games.
They're like big kids.
Yeah. Yeah. So fingers crossed John can come back in. Should have been a straightforward off and on like. Shouldn't be long.
Yeah.
It's the downside to the electronic sides. They can interrupt it. They can intercept you. But there should be some form of protection. You know, they should know who's doing this right now, and they should be held accountable for doing this. Those people that know all the computer stuff, everything's all recorded. The computer doesn't miss anything, and it keeps a record of everything.
Except emails.
Except anything that they don't want. It's like the CCTV footage, isn't it? They can tell you anything that's going on in the place, like. But when there's a crime committed by one of them, or the CC footage, it collapsed. It stopped that day. It stopped that day on 9/11. It stopped that day on the tunnel and when Princess Diana, and so on and so forth. You can just keep going for more.
I had a friend who had an email deleted from his computer, but luckily he'd screenshotted it.
Oh, it's happened to me many times,
Yeah.
Yeah, and to Sean, yeah. Where they go in and delete people's emails.
Yeah.
Let me just send John a message, see if there are any issues. John. Oh, yeah. There's two of them there. I'm sure they'll source it between them. It's not on it yet. So, I mean, if there's any questions that's for the people that's watching on Facebook, and you're a friend, well, I take you probably be one on my friends list. You can, if you've got a serious question that you think would be good to pull out of John's head, if any questions that you need, just PM me a message, because I can't see it in the comments. So if you just PM me a question, I can ask. If John can get back on there. He's not seen my message on Facebook, so I sent him Messenger. Actually, I can call him back in. Let me call him back in. Invite. There's John. How are you, John? Moving on. Strange, can't see him. That's weird. There he is. There we go. I'll just call him, see if he answers my call. Fingers crossed. Invite him again. Here we go. There he is. There we go. Job done. So we have John back now. Fingers crossed we'll have no interference this time and Alfred can say what he had to say. No microphone at the moment. Here we go. You're muted, John, if you're speaking. I'll ask you to turn your camera on as well. There you go. Where have you gone to now? There's John. You're still muted, John. John, you're muted. We can see you now. Can you hear us? You're muted. Ask to unmute. John, can you see us? You're still muted, by the way. Can you not hear us? I don't think they can hear us. Can you hear us? Can you hear us? There we go. Okay, John, you're unmuted now.
I just have to log in.
John, can you hear us? You can't hear us. John, can you hear us? No? Can't hear us. Let me call him on WhatsApp.
Yeah, it won't be a minute. I won't be a minute. I'm just turned my phone off and started it up again. I'll be a couple of minutes. Yeah, won't be a couple of minutes. Won't be a minute.
I don't know if you heard that. I don't know what it
It's
is.
quiet on there tonight.
We can. You can't hear us, can you, John?
I'm just right. Okay.
Oh, what's that? Who's that? Right, John's coming in again. Okay, he set the phone up. We've got two phones, haven't we? John, can you hear us? No, John, can you hear us? Connecting to audio.
Recording in progress.
John, can you hear us now?
Okay, we're back. We're back now.
Okay, we're back. We're back now.
Turn your other
Can you
one
hear
off,
me?
John.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Hang on.
Yep.
Turn your other one off, John.
I'll just
Turn the other camera
camera
off,
up.
John. Better. That's muted that at least anyway. Okay. Oh, it's muted on both now. That's the one mute. Now he's froze on both. Right, that's the one mute. Unmute, John. Can you hear us? Unmute. You can hear us, yeah? John, unmute your phone, John. The beauty of technology. Mute, there you go. Can you hear us, John? Can you hear us, John?
Yeah.
You can hear us now, yeah?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, but you've got
Yep.
two devices on. Turn one of your devices off. Turn the one that you can't hear us. The one you can hear us, leave on.
That one off.
Leave the one you can hear us on. Switch that one off. Switch
Oh,
the
how
other
do
one
I
off.
do that? Hang on.
The one you can
I've-
hear
I've
us on,
just-
keep on.
I've
The one
just
you
got
can't hear us
the
on, turn it off.
laptop on at the same time.
Leave the one you can hear us on.
Hang on, I've got to turn the laptop off. Hang on. I can't leave the laptop. Hang on.
This is internet now as well. You've still got two devices on, John, and you're muted on both.
Yeah.
Right. I think you may be on one. No, you're still on two devices, John.
Turn it off.
Turn the first one off.
Yeah, the other one's off. Yeah, the laptop's off now. It's only just on the mobile phone now.
It's on. Must be on two mobile phones, John. There's two mobile phones on, John.
Oh. Yeah, hang on. I'll turn the one off. Hang on. I'll turn this one off. Hang on. Hang on. I'll just turn this mobile phone off.
Can you hear us on that one?
No, I've got to turn one off. Hang on.
Yeah. Make sure.
When
It's,
you rang up,
make sure it's the one
when
you.
you rang. Yeah, I got the right one on now.
Okay.
Is that better now?
Yeah, you've still
Is
got
that
both. They're still both on. There's still two feeds on.
Oh shucks. It's still on the laptop.
That's
I'm
okay. Then
trying
the
to
other one's
turn the
muted,
laptop
so it's
on.
okay. The other one's muted, and you can't hear us on that one anyway, so it's okay. So you're okay to carry on now.
Okay, good. Now Alfred will carry on. I want him to talk about King Tuhatia taking over being the King of New Zealand, and he can respond to Kate's question, finish her question off. But I want to go into Alf making a statement tonight about King Tuhatia's whakapapa to Alfred's whakapapa, or his lineage, to what he's claiming to be the King of New Zealand in England at the moment. He's meeting with the Crown there, and possibly the Queen, the family, to try and take out the title here. And so Alfred, I'll give them about 10 minutes to explain this and to Kate, to answer Kate first.
Yeah. First, John, I'll just finish off what I was talking about in 1838, because this is imperative to everything that John has been speaking about with the Emergency Backing Act in 1833. The secret meeting 5 years after that had to do with the very same thing. So what's happening today was all pre-planned from 1833. Now what happened, I did my research, they had a special meeting, a secret meeting with the judges in the American Navy Act, and they called them together and they said that they were going to, instead of calling it, the judges were informed they were to call it statutory jurisdiction, and they were never to reveal to the public or anyone what that statutory jurisdiction was actually.
They're drawing.
They don't like this.
They don't like this at all.
Oh, that was getting interesting.
John, turn the one device. You've got two devices there. I don't know. I don't think that'd make much difference though. It's funny how the one's working. The one that you can't hear us on's working. That one's dropped out, and they can't hear us, and they're still talking about it. Ask the one.
Oh no.
I'm asking to unmute. They can't see us. You can't see us. You can't. Well, you can see us. We can't hear you. We can't hear you. We can't hear you. Oh, what a shame. Eh?
Yeah. Yes.
Can't see him. Let me call him. I'm going to call him.
The secret meeting. What was it about?
I would imagine making us all slaves. Paupers.
He's still talking exactly all about it all. Like he's going to have to.
Oh, they're talking to themselves.
Oh, Anthony, Alfred's telling you everything about it still. I could hear him still talking, but John couldn't hear me. They're completely messing this up.
Mm.
Let me call John back in again. I'll be able to call him back in with him doing what's it. Let's try. Oh, he's gone off there again. No? Not fine, not fine. I just invited him again, so. Mm. Again.
Can you see him, Andrew?
I can see them, yeah. I can see him. It's muted, but that's the one that he can't hear us on. That the phone, the other phone. There we go. He's invited himself in again now. Right then. So I'll be here in a second. He's got two devices on though. He needs to turn the one that he's talking to now off, not the one he's looking at. John, can you hear me? John, if you can hear me, turn the phone keep the phone on that's in your hand and turn the other phone off.
I've turned the other phone right off.
No, you haven't. It's in front of you.
Altogether.
In front of you. What's in front of you? What's in front of you, John? There's a camera. We're looking at your laptop. Straight in front of you. What's in front of you? Where your camera was before? Or is that the laptop?
I've got the camera that was recording on in my hand. I've got it in my hand. So
well,
put it back up.
What's is that? So it's the laptop. The laptop is
the laptop.
Turn the
you
laptop.
Rang the laptop when you rang
the laptop.
When you rang the laptop, I've got to turn the laptop. I've got to turn the laptop zoom off. Hang on. I've got to try and find it. Hang on. I'll turn the laptop zoom off.
Yeah.
Hang on.
Well, we can see you.
It's that.
Yeah, we can see you on the laptop one. The other one's not.
Yeah, but I want to turn the laptop. I want to turn the laptop zoom off. Hang on. Hang on. Hang on a second. I'll try and turn the laptop zoom off. There. Leave. Turn.
Unmute.
Yeah.
Leave. I'll leave the laptop
That's it.
off.
Right then. Now just turn your camera on your phone. Now turn your camera
Yeah,
on.
I'll turn the. Hang on.
I'll ask to start a video. I just asked you to start video.
Hang on.
There you go. Right then, turn your phone on its side again.
Right, we're back on.
Turn the phone on its side. That's it. Perfect. Right,
Okay.
Alfred.
Hang on, just wait. Hang on. Right,
Hear us?
we're right now.
Yeah, okay at the moment. Right then. So Alfred, right from the very
Can you
beginning.
hear Andy?
Can you hear us? Can you hear me? So you have to go right back to the beginning.
Start again.
Yes, I can. So
You
I'll
have to
start again.
So
Start again.
the secret meet, the secret meet and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
right from the beginning, because it was all blocked.
Yeah, that secret meeting is very important because you know that was the they basically pre-planned that with the 1833 Emergency Banking Act, which is the now what happened is that secret meeting with the top judges, and they were told, and they were never to reveal it, that they were going from public law to public policy, and that and they were to call it statutory jurisdiction, but they weren't to reveal that statutory jurisdiction was really maritime admiralty jurisdiction. And what I did at the Christchurch shooting is that I sensed that was a false flag, you know, because I looked at it and and I knew that they were going to use that to remove all the guns, and I knew it was that the bankers had planned to bring in this pandemic. Now, I looked at the legislation in Australia when I was living in Sydney in 1979, in the Environmental Planning and Assessment Act 1979, number 203, part 10 miscellaneous, 10.17 and 10.18 had legislated the COVID-19 pandemic, and that's 40 years before the November Wuhan outbreak. So when I saw the pattern of that Christchurch shooting, straight away I wrote to Andrew Little, the Minister of Justice, and I requested the international maritime contract because you cannot legislate maritime admiralty jurisdiction from a foreign state. Now, the New Zealand government is a foreign state. It's operating out of Washington, DC, so therefore it's a foreign state. So I demanded, as a foreign state, what lawful jurisdiction and authority have they got to invoke any statutes on the land, including the removal of the gun, because I knew that based on that secret meeting in 1838, that when they were trying to force to remove the guns, it was time for it was showing it was time to basically do the global Holocaust, you know, and with this pandemic. So that is I wrote 3 notices to Andrew Little, Minister of Justice, and they were affidavit. They have to respond. So not only that they're in dishonor, but they actually have got no lawful right and jurisdiction to invoke martial law in this country because of that, because there's no international maritime contract. The only time they can invoke a martial law on your land is if we breach that contract. They can be in breach of a contract that doesn't exist. And that was basically the question of the Minister of Justice, but they failed to answer that. You know, they were inquired. I just want to move on about the what I was talking about, and we're talking about King Haiti going over to England. Now, I just want to let everyone know that the first king under this Kingitanga was Portataka to Pero, and he was appointed as king in 1858. But that was post 1840 under Queen Victoria. So that was really a Queen's Court bench jurisdiction. That's not the King's Court bench jurisdiction. Now, what a lot of that, even the tidy was the first Taipudu. What happened in 1808? This is 50 years before the King of King.
Just 1 second. Just 1 second, Alfred. Can anyone hear? Can anyone understand what's being said?
No.
Nothing at all. It's all blippy.
Yeah. The sound's not. It's been interfered with. When you speak, as soon as you start to speak, it's like breaking all the sound up.
Yeah.
Oh, so no one's able to hear anything.
No.
No, we can hear. We can hear it. It's in bits. We can only
Andy.
hear it in bits.
Oh,
Andy, try to turn the mic down a bit.
Been interfered with.
Yes.
Try to turn.
If you go into your settings and move your bar down on your microphone, it might start to work a bit better.
Try that. Try to lower it because we can hear you clear. Just try to lower your microphone down a bit. See if that makes a difference.
I'll try and hold it. I'll just on the camera here. A bit just for now.
Still as bad. Though. Still as bad. I don't think it's anything to do.
Signal.
Just turn the microphone down. See if you can turn the microphone down a bit.
Okay, hang on.
It's worth a go. I mean, it's funny how it's been working definitely fine all the way through, but now, as soon as Alfred's talking about this, it starts.
It's been going good. It's been going good right up to now. I haven't been able to touch the controls on the microphone just in case I messed it all up. I don't want to shut the phone and hold the meeting up, hold the call up. Hang on.
I mean, if you want, John, because
you want me to,
shall we round this set? Shall we leave this one and do another one?
Put the mic down a bit. Just out.
Because you should have your other laptop tomorrow.
What's that?
You should have the new laptop tomorrow.
Speak now, John.
Yeah,
Sounds like it's cleared up.
I can't guarantee it's going to be tomorrow. I think you said next week it's going to be. Yeah.
No, it's been too long to wait for the laptop. I was hoping to try and get a court hearing tonight. If you had the time, Andy.
I'd have the time, but we can't hear you, John.
You can't hear me.
It's breaking up.
It's breaking up when you move the phone around. Is there anywhere you can actually just set the phone down and in front of you?
Well, I'll put it in a different way. No, they just told me to shift it. Hang on. I'll put it there.
Can you hear?
Speak now.
Can you hear, Frank?
Yeah, that sounds a lot better now.
Try that then.
All right, Andy? All right?
Yeah, try
All right,
that then, John.
Andy.
Try that, John. Sounds okay at the moment. Yeah, try that.
Carry
I'll start again.
No, it's still the same.
No, they are. They're messing with the feed. They're not
Secret,
messing, it's not your phone. They're messing with your feed.
Your feed's being messed with, John.
Yeah, 100% on that. Your feed's
Oh.
being messed with.
You should try it from a different IP address, maybe.
We could, I mean, to be truthful, it's probably because we're live now. We could do the recording. So we could end this one if you want, or I could end. Yeah, we could end this one.
Yeah,
and I'll
I
send
think-
a fresh.
I think we'll do a recording. We'll do a recording, Andy. I'll do a recording afterwards and end the call for now.
Sounds okay now. It sounds
It's better now.
better now. It's dead on
because
now.
I'm right in front of the camera.
I know you don't.
I'm right
No,
close
it
to
sounds
the
right. You
mic.
can sit back and speak. We can hear you, John. Just you don't have to come up close. We can still hear you. It's not the volume. It's the breaking up. It's breaking it up. But it sounds
Okay,
okay.
yeah,
then.
the signal,
Let's try it.
the
for a
signal
minute.
bad. Yeah,
Can you hear, Andy? Can you hear me?
Just try to speak for a minute. Let's see if it goes, because it's clear at the moment.
Okay.
Well, I'll go back to 1838, the secret, they had a secret meeting with the top judges in America. Okay, after the 1830s emergency, the banking emergency. And it showed that they pre-planned what's happening today. And they were told that never to reveal it until the key thing was until they got to remove all the guns from the public. And they said at the time that the public around the world had too many guns. And until they were in a position
Okay, then. Yeah.
to remove all the guns in so
Yeah.
it's showing after
It's just as bad.
Thanks a lot, Pete, again.
It's still being totally interfered with, mate. We can,
Yeah,
we
okay.
can hear what you were saying about the fact that they needed the removal of all the guns to imply the pandemic to enforce without fear. So we can get what you were saying, but it's still very breaking up. So
No, I think we'll do a recording. I think we'll go with a recording, and in this, I'll just say put the court hearing off. We have to record the court hearing off.
Yeah.
So that's what we're doing. No, record it afterwards when it gets all thing. With afterwards. And we'll just postpone this until we do a recording to finish the court hearing off because of the interference.
okay,
Andy,
yep.
we'll end this video for now, not finish it off, but we'll do a recording. It's a pity because I wanted to do, I should have carried on with the hearing. We got good out.
It is what it is.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. So we can end. We can end this one then. And when do you want to set the other one up? Straight away or
Straight away.
straight away? Yeah. So
If that's all right with you.
I'll send you the new link. Yeah. I'll send it out.
Yep.
To I can send it out to. So you'll have to send it out to Kate. May have Kate's. About whoever Quinton is, and Tin. If you can send it to those at least, or just send it out again. Just send it out to all the people you sent it out to. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
We'll end this one then now.
We'll
and we'll
carry
set-
on afterwards. So the court is just delayed.
And we'll just record. We won't live stream it.
Yeah.
Hope. Let's see if they don't interfere then. Okay.
Okay.
All right then.
All right. Sorry about it, people.
No, it's not
Okay.
it's not your fault,
We're
Justin.
going into the second part of the course.
Yeah.
We're going into the second part of the court hearing. No, coming now.
Part 2 to follow then. Part 2 to follow. The time now is 11 minutes past 1 in Greece. So it's 11 minutes past 11, 11:11 in England. There you go. And it's whatever it is in New Zealand right now. So it's
12 past 10.
11 minutes
12
past
minutes past 10.
Yeah. Okay, then I'll end this one and I'll send you the link straight out. Okay.
Okay.
In a minute.
Good.
Bye-bye now.
Bye.